else. You'll have an immense adventure as a consequence. You won't know what's going to happen to you, but the truth will reveal the world the way it's intended to be revealed, and the consequence for you will be that you'll have the adventure of your life.
Live at Rosemont Theater, January 15th. Get tickets this Friday at 10 a.m. at Ticketmaster.com.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
With Cybersecurity Awareness Month winding down, LifeLock wants to remind you to update your software. These updates are used to patch up security issues that identity thieves can exploit to gain access to your personal info. But for comprehensive identity theft protection, there's LifeLock. LifeLock alerts you to more uses of your personal info and fixes identity theft issues that arise. Start your 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use my name as your promo code, Clay.
Hey, AM 560 homeowners. Are you tired of all the money and repairs going into your house? Need an easy solution to convert your home into cash? This is Jeff from JeffBuysYourHouse.com. For nearly 20 years, our trusted, proven, and professional team has been simplifying the home selling process in Chicagoland. Here's the deal. You are in control. Pick the closing date that works best for you. No need to worry about repairs or any cleanout. We will buy your house as is, saving you frustration, time, and money. That's right, a fair cash offer within 24 hours, and we actually buy your house. No funny business. With our simple process, there are no fees and no commissions. You can trust our proven, professional, and credible service. Our local, high-integrity, and veteran-owned team will go above and beyond to make it stress-free. Sound interesting? Sell your house to the trusted source by calling us at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or jeffbuysyourhouse.com.
If you own or run a business and you listen to AM 560, you might not realize that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
Come on with this, people. Move it!
Did you really think you could make that company deliver yourself?
Oh, I cannot handle any more traffic.
You could be getting much more done at your place of business.
I've wasted 45 minutes and now this place is gonna close.
Time is money. Let Quick Delivery Service take on the traffic hassle for you. They'll deliver almost anything, from large pallets of materials to important documents, or both. No forms, no labels, no scanning. Just tell Quick Delivery Service where it's going, they'll pick it up, and get it to your destination quickly. Your cargo delivery is tracked in real time with GPS. Notifications are delivered right to your inbox. Visit QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. Or you can deliver like this.
Seriously, another train?
Or get your delivery there on time with QuickDelivery.com. Or call 847-534-2244. 847-534-2244.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So we've got a new report on the cost of illegal immigration to American citizens. The Federation for American Immigration Reform, FAIR, did a study, and they put it at $150 billion in just 2023. $150 billion last year across the country the federal government has spent. A lot of it has gone to the localities for shelter and services. FEMA grants, too. So all of this discussion, Trump is mischaracterizing, Trump is spreading misinformation about FEMA as it pertains to their role in depleting their resources by underwriting illegal immigration. Well, it's true. It's all documented. It's all public record. For example, the city of Chicago, $26 million last year. FEMA shelter and services grants. City of LA, $22 million. Commonwealth of Massachusetts, $27 million. Pima County, Arizona, $40 million. El Paso County, Texas, $41 million. New York City, $81 million. Philadelphia, $11 million. You get the picture. So just in terms of putting a dollar figure, and I know the more important discussion is the impact on lives and the lives that have been lost, the people who've been victimized. Also, but I mean, this is worth noting too. And then the participants, the participating organizations. We spoke with that investigative reporter from the Free Press the other day, who's done some good documenting of the organizations that are involved with making billions of dollars in the provision of shelter and other services for people in this country illegally. The 10 NGOs which received the most FEMA shelter and services grants, calendar year 2023, fiscal year 2024. Catholic Charities Diocese of San Diego, $41 million. Catholic Charities of San Antonio, $28 million. Jewish Family Services of San Diego, $22 million. Border Servant Corps in New Mexico, $15 million, and on down the line. You get the picture, again, documenting all of this. And despite the costs and the impact, we have a Democrat Socialist or New Bolshevik Party nominee who said she would do nothing different. No separation from the policy she's been a part of. I guess that shouldn't be surprising other than the fact that it's an albatross around her neck. In fact, Trump was asked about that in an interview he gave to Bill Melugin yesterday. Kamala's, my mistake, my worst mistake is that I don't make mistakes, and that includes the border. Trump reacting.
She said during that town hall she believes they've handled the border correctly. CNN pressed her on it. Would you have done anything different? Do you regret anything? And she said, quote, I think we did the right thing.
Wait a minute, that she's handled it correctly?
Correct.
She said that?
She said that. She said, quote, I think we did the right thing.
We allowed 21 million people in. We allowed 13,099 murderers. We allowed mental institutions from all over the world. If she said that, look, she's a grossly incompetent person. And if she said that, they had the worst border in history.
Yeah, well, gross incompetence comes with a price tag, and it was $150 billion in 2023, although it was more than that. Because the other thing that happened is state and local had to pick up the difference. I mean, I'm just going through what the federal government spent and the grants, the money they drop shipped to the states and localities, but that doesn't mean they that came anywhere close to covering the actual total cost. And so what did big blue cities and small red hamlets around the country do? Well, they cut core services to taxpayers. Denver City Council cut $45 million from its budget, including $8 million from police and $2.5 million from fire, to pay a $90 million bill for illegal immigrants. And they did so happily, just like they do in Chicago. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line and text line. New York City is spending $2.3 billion in money for housing. That's in 2023 and 2024. City agencies have cut costs 5% across the board. Now, I'm not saying that some of this cost cutting that's going on shouldn't be happening anyway. You know, government at the state and local level is not much less efficient or not much more efficient than at the federal level. However, this is not the way you do it. They're not actually cutting. They're repurposing the monies that taxpayers provide to prioritize people in this country illegally over American citizens, over their own taxpayers.
And here in Chicago, we finally passed, I don't know if people know this, we have the 50,000th person here illegally that is now in Chicago. We went, and we're closing some shelters, but we still have 17 shelters open.
Well, more are coming because New York City is sending some of their illegals to Chicago. I love when big blue cities cannibalize each other. Trump was in Tempe, Arizona yesterday, and he again addressed the issue of deportations. He also recognized a Marine who was killed on the other side of the border. I'll get to mass deportations, but first his recognition of Nicholas Quest.
Just days ago, a young U.S. Marine Corps veteran named Nicholas Quest, from right here in Arizona, you know about it, was driving through Mexico for a beach weekend, just a weekend with his friends, a really good guy, good kid, when he was viciously gunned down on the highway and murdered by members of a Mexican cartel. And it was brutal for no reason whatsoever. And we're joined today by Nick's wife, Carrie, his father, Warren, his mother, Patricia, his sister, Alexis, and his brother-in-law, Phil. Could you please stand up wherever you may be? Could you please stand up? A beautiful guy, a beautiful family, and we are so sorry for your loss. Can't be expressed. Thank you very much. Under the Trump administration, we will achieve complete and total victory over these sadistic monsters. We will reclaim our territory. We will restore the sovereign borders of the United States of America, and we will put the cartels quickly out of business. They're going to be gone.
Well, I don't know if the cartels are going to be gone, but at least he's putting a marker down and staking his entire reputation and presidency on this issue the way he did in 2016. And, you say, well, Nicholas Quetz, that Marine, he was killed on the other side of the border, and he was in Mexico. Right. But the people who killed Nicholas Quetz are the same people we're allowing into this country.
Right. And a lot of Americans go to Mexico.
Just to remind people in case they have forgotten, or not for our listeners, more to remind others, MS-13 gang member pleads guilty to role in 4 deaths, including two teenage girls who were attacked with machetes. This is in suburban New York. And again, we have told these stories almost on a daily basis over the last year, which is an indictment of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, who would do nothing different. Phil in Maryville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, morning, guys. I just wanted to call and thank you for reporting the news properly, because places like CNN, ABC, and all that, when it comes down to spending all this money on illegal immigrants, CNN would say, all right, we spent $150 billion, but they would forget to include that it was taken from the police departments, the fire departments, like how you guys report. And I just appreciate you reporting the news properly, and fake news is a real thing. Thank you.
Thanks for the call, Phil. George, Naperville.
Yes, in defense of Kamala, how can you put a price on having a big heart?
It's so true, George. Thank you for the call. That's the problem, as Mark Cuban diagnosed. They came in and their hearts were just too big, Biden and Harris. Mm-hmm. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Listen every Sunday morning at 6 for Wyatt Matters.
Wyatt Matters takes a lighthearted approach to things that deeply matter by utilizing a casual, interactive talk show format. Sharing some wisdom and creating some laughter. To this end, to get people thinking about what matters. And why it matters. Sunday morning at 6 on AM 560. The Answer.
We know what a woman is. And at Natural Womanhood, we believe that a woman's fertility is beautiful, powerful, and healthy, not something to be controlled or destroyed by doctors and big pharma. Women deserve better. Women deserve to know and claim the uniqueness of their natural female bodies. Women deserve access to authentic, holistic, and restorative reproductive health solutions. Women deserve to know they have real solutions beyond birth control for treating menstrual cycles issues or for family planning. Options without harmful side effects. Natural Womanhood produces high-quality, informative articles, podcasts, and videos to empower women to know and love their bodies. Find evidence-based information about birth control issues and alternatives, cycle issues like endometriosis, infertility, IVF, and more. Break free from big pharma, get healthier, learn how to work with your doctor to diagnose and treat cycle issues, or learn how to start conversations with resources from Natural Womanhood. Access the latest articles and podcasts, or even get a free consultation at naturalwomanhood.org. Visit naturalwomanhood.org today.
AM 560. The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Mika says Trump is killing women at 5:38.
And Hillary Clinton's comparing him to Hitler again. Oh, yeah. They just can't stop themselves. But now let's head into the newsroom. Any teams you're pushing for, rooting for this weekend, Mike Scott?
No.
Because you're not wearing a hat.
No.
Okay.
You
just gave up. The Illini crushing your Michigan Wolverines was too much.
Well, 21-7 is not a crushing. We'll see what happens against Oregon on number one team in the country. 5:32 on AM 560. The Answer. The owner and operator of a ship that rammed into the Francis Scott Key Bridge earlier this year, settling with the Department of Justice for $102 million. Former President Trump says he would fire the special counsel that has indicted him on multiple criminal charges if elected. The GOP presidential nominee telling Salem radio host Hugh Hewitt that it would be an easy decision to fire Jack Smith. Meantime, Trump rallied supporters in Arizona yesterday.
With your vote this November, we are going to fire Kamala Harris. We're going to fire her. Get the hell. We're going to fire Kamala. We're going to get her out of here.
The former president speaking in that battleground state Thursday afternoon, later telling a rally in Nevada, tariffs could help increase manufacturing here.
We will pass the Trump Reciprocal Trade Act if China or any other country, it's not just China, charges us a 100 or 200% tax or tariff, then we will charge them an identical 100 or 200% tax or tariff.
Kamala Harris hosted a rally in Georgia on Thursday evening.
It's either Donald Trump in there stewing over his enemies list, or me working for you, checking off my to-do list.
The vice president was preceded by Barack Obama and several Hollywood elites. World Series gets underway tonight with the LA Dodgers taking on the Yankees in the Fall Classic. 4 astronauts back on Earth after a stint on the International Space Station. 3 Americans and 1 Russian were scheduled to return over 2 weeks ago, but had to wait out hurricane delays. They rode home on a SpaceX capsule. McDonald's being pounded with another lawsuit after an E. coli outbreak was linked to their Quarter Pounder burgers. Clarissa DeBach of Nebraska says she fell ill with intense abdominal cramps. The outbreak killed 1 person and sickened 49 others. Mayor Brandon Johnson's new hand-picked members of the Board of Education are in place. All 7 sworn in yesterday after the previous board members resigned earlier this month. And right after, parents lined up to protest the closings of several Acero charter school locations in prominent Hispanic neighborhoods.
Tomorrow is a fully enrolled, high-performing Southside school and dedicated group of teachers and families. How do you close this school?
The new school board didn't address the future of CPS CEO Pedro Martinez, who has been at odds with Johnson over the district finances and taking out a high-risk payday-style loan to fund a bloated new teacher's contract. A jury convicts a man of killing an incoming Northwestern University grad student in 2018. Deontay Speed was found guilty of first-degree murder in the shooting death of Shane Colombo on the north side. Speed will be sentenced in December. Chicago sports. Bears back in action when they visit Washington on Sunday. That game has been flexed. It will kick off at 3:25. The Bulls take on the Bucks tonight. Blackhawks host Nashville. Number 20 Illinois traveling to number 1 Oregon tomorrow, while number 13 Indiana will host the Washington Huskies in Bloomington. And we'll pass this along. University of South Florida men's basketball coach Amir Abdur-Rahim has died. He was 43 years old. He died during a medical procedure. You may recall that name. His brother Sharif Abdul-Rahim was a longtime NBA player. Rahim took South Florida to the NCAA tournament last year. The news, a service of Balance of Nature fruits and vegetables in a capsule. Save 35% off your first preferred order with promo code Chicago. Order online at balanceofnature.com. Hurry, offer ends soon. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The lineup for Freedom Summit Chicago 2024 just got bigger with the addition of Dinesh D'Souza. He joins Dr. Sebastian Gorka and economist Steve Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, Jeannie Ives, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Breakthrough Ideas, Woodland Windows and Doors, and by Quick Delivery Service.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
61 years old. I'm doing my first bodybuilding show. I'm going to go straight to a national event. Well, I was a power lifter all my life, and I just lucky a year ago met Mr. Michigan and Mr. Olympia, and they asked me what I was doing, and next thing you know, I'm 4 weeks away from my first on-stage show. I've been taking the Balance of Nature for a long time. It's been incredible.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code Chicago.
Building owners, property managers, and chief engineers. This one's for you.
Hello, this is Bruce Diedrich with Waukegan Roofing, your professional roofer. Everything starts on top. Your investment, your building, and everything in it is protected by your roof. It needs to be in good shape. That's where we can help. If it needs to be repaired or replaced, or you think it might, call us. Let's find out. Here's the number.
847-623-1625.
At Waukegan Roofing, our employees are union-trained roofing professionals with OSHA safety training certifications and have thorough knowledge and expertise regarding the various roofing systems we sell, maintain, and install. We know commercial roofing systems because that's all we do. Over 110 years of doing commercial roofs. Waukegan Roofing has the slogan,
Roofs you can rely on.
Because you can. Here's the number to call,
847-623-1625.
And get the info at waukeganroofing.com. waukeganroofing.com.
The Illinois Family Institute believes in the good people of Illinois. We're their voice in Springfield, and we keep them informed about what's happening in government, local school districts, and in our culture. And yes, we know there are a lot of problems with Illinois. Taxes are too high, indoctrination going on in our government schools. Many of our elected officials think commercialized marijuana, more gambling, and taxpayer funding of abortion will solve our state's problems? The Illinois Family Institute is here to stand for the people of Illinois and the common sense values that we share. We have some great resources for folks who would like to make a difference. I'm Dave Smith with Illinois Family Institute. If you want to be part of the solution, please give us a call and visit our website, 708-781-9328 or illinoisfamily.org. illinoisfamily.org.
Longing for thick, healthy, gorgeous hair? Say goodbye to shedding, thin, and dull hair, and hello to thick, healthy hair with Hair Volume from New Nordic.
540, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of quick delivery service. Nothing quick about the outbound Ike this morning between North Avenue and York Road. An accident, 2 right lanes blocked, jackknife semi in the ditch, all probably led to by the rain that fell overnight on the road, slicking things up. Things on the Kennedy right now are slow, a roll of about a half hour from O'Hare out to the Burns Circle interchange. Things are slow as you travel on the inbound Ike, 30 minutes from 390 and climbing into the old post office. Visit quickdelivery.com when you need same-day delivery of your routes, ground delivery when you need it from safe licensed professionals. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Showers early this morning, clouds breaking later today, high 64. Mainly clear and 43 overnight. Mostly sunny for Illinois cross-country regionals tomorrow, and a high of 58. Light rain and 50 right now at O'Hare, 52 Midway. Your next news update at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. You know those typical sentimental women that Heather McDonald was talking to us about on yesterday's program? Mm-hmm. People like Margaret Brennan and Nora O'Donnell, those CBS debate moderators whose only concern about border policy is family separation. Well, here's a way to keep your family together. Don't come here illegally. Mika, she's part of Joyka.
Are they still married?
That Morning Joe program, I guess. I don't know. It's Mika and Mr. Brzezinski, her husband. Mm-hmm. Joe Brzezinski, I think he goes by now. Mika is very, very troubled. She's very troubled. And you can understand why she would be troubled, because it's her belief that Trump is, right now, as we speak, killing women.
As important as Trump's fascism is, and is the lead story every day, his cozying up to dictators, his obsession with Hitler that has now come out, what he has said about our veterans, and what he wants to do with the military against his political adversaries, it's all huge news. This is the future that we're looking at in the next Trump term, if there is one. But this is what voters know right now, that he is killing us. I'm talking about us women. He's killing us. He is putting us at risk. He is making us afraid to have babies. He is putting our reproductive health at risk, and some women have died already because of this. So we can see right now what's coming. These headlines, and very good reporting, by the way, that shouldn't be questioned by idiots about what Trump has said about Hitler, that's incredibly important to know. But I do understand that people who are busy and that are people who are just tapping in may not be able to comprehend, because we've been free. We've been comfortable. We cannot comprehend that. And I understand that. I validate that it is hard to go from here to there. It is where we're going. I hope we don't find out the hard way. But what's happening with women right now is real, and it is playing out across America.
You can call right now, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line and text line if you so desire to comment on what Mika had to say. Killing women. And, hey, look, it's nice that she provided some, provided wide berth, I guess I would say, to you deplorables out there. She understands that you may not comprehend what's going on, you members of the hoi polloi, you unwashed masses, the mud people. You may not comprehend what's going on. You don't have time in your day to be as well-versed on all that is happening as, say, Mika Brzezinski is. And so she's giving you a chance. She's throwing you a lifeline. Save yourselves. Don't find out the hard way. I think that's very generous of her.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us on that very same line. I thought she was on the verge of tears, didn't you, Dan? Like hyperventilating a little bit.
Well, she's those are tears for all the women that Trump has killed, and I don't think she meant killed like he's slaying the ladies. I don't think she meant it quite that way. So I mean, this is the tone and the tenor of the campaign in its closing stage. Well, really, it's death throes, I would argue, and but I would love to hear from women about whether or not women are dying as the result of Trump's policies and what you have to recognize. I know idiots are not to question the reporting on John Kelly and Trump. Well, one guy, I don't think you can really call him an idiot. I mean, I guess you can. You can call anybody an idiot, just like you can call anybody Hitler. That's our politics. But Nick Ayers was the chief of staff to one Vice President Pence during the Trump term. And he has not really commented on these leaks and all the palace intrigue and the sniping from former staff and so on and so forth.
He's been really quiet.
Well, he did come out and speak with Martha McCallum about the John Kelly accusation, saying basically John Kelly is lying.
Well, I know the president personally, Martha. He is my friend. I know his heart. And this unequivocally did not happen. Full stop. John Kelly was never too shy to point out to senior staff when he differed with the president, often behind President Trump's back. So I can assure you, had those comments been made, the national media would have known, all of us would have known instantly. Moreover, he was, rarely ever alone with the president. Usually Governor Sanders, then White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders, or the staff secretary or other national security officials, or myself, among many others, we were all together. So I'm saying with certainty, this did not happen. This is only being espoused because John Kelly's candidate is losing. And she's losing badly. They're desperate to change the subject from a wide open border.
This is a personal vendetta, and he's coming out now. This happened, 6 years ago?
John Kelly, I should say former President Trump was asked about John Kelly's comments in that interview that Bill Maloogian did, and he had this to say about his former chief of staff.
I fired him. He was a bully. He was a bad guy, and he ended up being a weak guy because all bullies end up being weak. And he wasn't a smart guy. It's a bad combination. But I fired him. He made a statement that I'm like Hitler. It's just couldn't be further from the truth. It's just the opposite, actually.
I mean, he believed as chief of staff that he should have been the ultimate decision maker. Excuse me. They had a personality conflict, and he fired him.
Yeah, the all these military brass from the Trump years, the Trump term, falling in line for Kamala is very interesting, because we're supposed to revere them forever. We appreciate them, we respect them for their military service, but as I say all the time, that doesn't absolve them of review for the rest of their lives with everything else they do, of course. So you can respect John Kelly's service to the country and his families. He lost a son in combat. his family's a debt sacrifice for this country, and I do. But that doesn't mean he's right about everything. That doesn't mean he's necessarily telling the truth about everything. And it also doesn't mean that he's focused on the right thing. Interesting piece in the Wall Street Journal that I would think would be of some interest to John Kelly, to Jim Mattis, to others. Kevin Walston and Owen West. Walston, professor of poli-sci, Cal State University, Long Beach West, former Marine who served as Assistant Secretary of Defense for Special Operations during the Trump term. Very interesting survey they did to address military recruitment. We got a military recruitment problem. They may want to consider the commander-in-chief in this administration they're supporting, and number two, when it comes to, I believe, the armed services, an institution that they've dedicated their lives to, and I would think would have a particular stake in. Anybody want to talk to John Kelly about that? They did a survey, or they're talking, I should say, about a survey. Pew surveys in 2011 and 2019 found approximately 80% of veterans would advise young people to join the military. 2011, 2019. So that's 4 years ago, 80%. Now it's 62%. So veterans are telling the young, often their children, do not follow in my footsteps. Down 80% to 62%, 20 points in 4 years. So something's happened. And what they find is that veterans oppose the DEI policies that have been imposed and inflicted upon the armed services. 57% say diversity is not essential for military success. 94% oppose race and sex preferences in the military. Only 14% of veterans want the military to pay more attention to DEI. And they go on to connect these obvious dots from the opposition to the policies and the culture it's created within the armed services to people can't wait to get out, not re-upping, and moms and dads who serve telling sons and daughters not to. I'd love to hear response from these generals that are spending all their time playing partisan politics to what's happened under their watch, in part, to the armed services. Chet and Lyle, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I remind you of a caller 4 years ago after Joe Biden won. He said, was, quote, something along the lines of, they've got their Washington back. And I think a lot of these people coming out is because they fear they're going to lose their Washington. And because Trump will upend the status quo across the entire Washington, D.C. area.
He better. Yeah, thanks for the call, Chet. But I agree that's what they fear.
They don't want to lose their jobs. It's about them, not the people of this country.
Tony in Downers Grove.
Oh, I don't know, Dan, we keep beating a dead horse here, but I just don't know how the mainstream media just literally blatantly lies. I mean, and they back Harris every part of the way. It's the fact that they think we're so stupid. You get Barack Obama gets up there and talks about how he doesn't know how he got to this point in politics. Really, we could name a list. Yeah, I will ask you a question on Texas. I was in Texas last week. A little worried about the Cruz race. What's your feeling on that? Do you have any insight?
It's a tough race, but I think Cruz is going to be fine, and I think Trump ends up winning Texas going away the way things are trending, and that should aid Cruz's efforts too. So I think Cruz is going to be okay. The race I'm worried about is that independent union guy running against Deb Fischer in Nebraska, the incumbent Republican, and that's a dead heat. And the union guy has sort of this almost Trumpian populist appeal that crosses party lines. And of course, in Nebraska, Trump's going to win by 25 points. So the idea that Deb Fischer's in this neck-and-neck battle is a bit concerning. And of course, numbers matter. This guy wins. He says he's not caucusing with either party. We're at 50 with Jim Justice taking Manchin's seat in West Virginia, and we've got good chance to pick up certainly in Ohio and Montana, but maybe Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin too. And you'd hate to give one back in Nebraska, so that's the one I'm looking at.
Okay.
Philip in Blue Island.
With the numbers spiking up since the abortion Roe v. Wade was overturned, how can it? Why wouldn't it be a responsibility, or why wouldn't women look at Trump as being responsible for the increase in death in women, especially during pregnancy? Or
there is no increase in death among women.
Yes.
That's untrue. That's untrue.
No, it's not.
Okay, what's your source?
I mean, it's an easy Google search.
Bye, Philip. Yeah. It is untrue. It's absurd. It's absurdly untrue. It's not even just untrue. And the response that you get from the Phillips of the world is, yes, it is. You can Google search it. Okay. That's not a site. And first of all, women dying, number one, what about women in the womb, Philip? Oh, did you forget about them? Yeah.
Well, everyone refers to Amber Thurman case, and she did not.
Yeah, I get it. Hold on a second. The left always forgets the women in the womb.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, there is no abortion ban. Roe v. Wade is overturned, and different states are doing different things. Like Illinois, for example, is abortion on demand, all 9 months, through 9 months, taxpayer funded.
Post-birth abortion, yes, we have that here.
So the women dying, even in states, of course in states that have restricted abortion, made it more restrictive than it was under Roe. What medical care isn't rendered to women who have a crisis pregnancy? Of course it is. The idea that even the phony cases like Amy, you were just about to reference, which was a medical emergency, had nothing to do with Georgia's abortion law that the left keeps promulgating and that Philip is probably referring to.
It was medical malpractice.
The idea that if a woman dies, while pregnant, that the nexus is a change in the abortion law in a particular state is absurd on its face. What medical institution, what doctor out there is saying, I am not going to render aid to a woman in a health crisis who is pregnant, whether she wants an abortion or not? The whole thing is just an asinine talking point from people who don't have anything between their brains except the political cant they hear on MSNBC. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Are you looking for a trustworthy garage to keep your Dodge Ram 45 or 5500 Cummins engine in tip-top shape? Look no further than Remke's Garage in Marengo. At Remke's Garage, their experienced team treats every car like it's their own. Plus, they believe in transparency, no surprises, just honest service and fair pricing. Check out the incredible reviews that satisfied customers have left on Google as they speak for themselves. With state-of-the-art equipment and a commitment to quality, they're proud to be your local choice for automotive care. And here's the best part, they offer free pickup and drop-off for your convenience. Both individually owned and fleet vehicle programs available to meet your needs. So why wait? Swing by Remke's Garage today and let them get you back on the road with confidence. Visit Remke'sGarage.com. Remke's Garage, repairing America.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:06, Paul Thacker and Matt Taibbi do a podcast to explain in more detail that report they did on that British outfit's plan to kill Musk's Twitter. 6:06.
And later, hot or not, Dan, we got to play the game with politicians. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Johnson's handpicked school board members are sworn in. Wiretaps played in the Madigan trial, and the Bulls visit the Bucks. WIND Chicago News Time 6.
One former president campaigns against another. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
Just because he acts goofy does not mean his presidency wouldn't be dangerous.
Former President Obama at a rally in Georgia speaking out against former President Trump, and for Vice President Harris.
We will build a future where we bring down the cost of living, and that will be my focus every single day as President of the United States.
Bruce Springsteen also performed at the Harris rally, and today Beyonce will take the stage with the Vice President in Texas. There will also be a Trump event in Texas and then Michigan after the former president rallied in Arizona and in Nevada.
She is grossly incompetent, let's face it. She is not doing well.
And he continued to blame Vice President Harris for a record surge of illegal immigration.
She has unleashed an army of migrant gangs who are waging a campaign of violence.
So Harris is touting a big reduction in border crossings since the summer. It's another deadly day in the Middle East.
Hezbollah fired more rockets from Lebanon here into Israel, pretty much a daily occurrence here. And the IDF now says it has lost 10 soldiers in total killed in battle over the past 24 hours or
Fox's
so.
Matt Finn in Tel Aviv. Israel's also dropped more airstrikes in Lebanon, where 3 journalists were killed. And the day after Secretary of State Antony Blinken urged Israel to end the war in Gaza after killing Hamas's leader, Israel launched more attacks in Gaza today that killed, Palestinians say, at least 38 people. McDonald's has named the culprit of food contamination in quarter pounders that are off the menu in some areas. One person died.
McDonald's says Taylor Farms of Salinas, California was the source of the onions suspected in dozens of E. coli cases across 10 states. Food wholesaler U.S. Foods claims that Taylor Farms had issued a recall this week for peeled, whole, and diced yellow onions for potential E. coli contamination.
And that's Fox's Jack Callahan. America's listening to Fox News.
50 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Mayor Brandon Johnson's new hand-picked members of the Chicago Board of Education are in place. All 7 officially sworn in yesterday. Christina Zayas with the mayor's office says CBS is opposing any school closings after parents protested at the opening of the school board meeting.
CEO had introduced a resolution to have a moratorium on all school closings. And so it'll be very interesting to see what comes of that. But obviously, you know, the position that the mayor takes is that school closings are never an option.
The new school board did not address the future of CPS CEO Pedro Martinez. A jury convicts a man of killing an incoming Northwestern grad student in 2018 on Chicago's North Side. Deontay Speed was found guilty of first-degree murder in the shooting death of Shane Colombo. A $2 million settlement has been reached in a lawsuit that accuses a former CPS gym teacher of sexually assaulting young students.
This settlement is not a victory to be celebrated. For our clients, it marks a significant and positive milestone in a long and painful journey towards healing and recovery.
The suit claims instructor Andre Castro groomed and sexually abused 3 boys who attend Lorca Elementary School. Thursday's settlement is in regard to a civil lawsuit or criminal case is ongoing. As part of the Safety Act, the Pretrial Fairness Act has been in effect now since September of 2023. And McHenry County State's Attorney Patrick Kennelly says data in his county doesn't show what proponents promised.
There was a 30% increase in crime by those on pretrial release compared with those on cash bail.
Contrary to proponents of the Pretrial Fairness Act who said the law would decrease jail populations, Kennelly found the opposite in his county.
So on the eve of the Safety Act, on September 17th, 2023, there were 204 people in the McHenry County jail. And on September 15th of 2024, which is exactly 1 year later, accounting for the leap year, there were 216 people in the McHenry County jail.
The Illinois Network for Pretrial Fairness claims in response that Kennelly is conflating data. And a man was seriously hurt Wednesday installing electric vehicle charging stations at a Northern Illinois auto dealership in East Dundee, or in Elgin. East Dundee Fire says the incident happened at a Chevy dealer in Elgin. The worker's right arm and hand were badly burned. The Blackhawks aim to avoid their third loss in a row when they host Nashville tonight. The Bulls are in search of their first win when they visit Milwaukee, just north of the border. Tomorrow, college football, number 20 Illinois looks to topple number 1 Oregon. The news, a service of Team Hochberg. They've helped thousands of AM 560 listeners with the best rates and service. Let Team Hochberg help you by visiting 56david.com or call 855-563-2843. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Larry Elder exposes another double standard.
So Kamala Harris says she works at McDonald's. Don't you think the media ought to be doing the fact-checking? If Donald Trump said he worked at McDonald's, the media would have put together an army of reporters descending upon McDonald's headquarters, demanding payroll records to corroborate or refute Donald Trump's allegation.
The Larry Elder Show. Weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
The instability of our economy after this election has many worried, and stocks and bonds could be the first to collapse. Countless Americans are turning to the safest store of wealth in human history to protect their retirement accounts. Physical precious metals. Gold has been a safe haven asset for generations. At Premier Gold, we specialize in helping those with a 401k, IRA, or other types of retirement accounts convert their vulnerable paper assets into physical gold to protect their hard-earned savings. Today, we'd like to send you a free gold election kit to help you decide if this is right for you. Call 606-800-8000 to claim yours. Act before the election to take advantage of the current rollover policies, allowing for a quick and seamless transfer into physical gold or silver. Don't let the outcome of this election influence the fate of your financial future. Call 606-800-8000 now. Premier Gold is not a financial advisor. Please consult with your advisor before investing. Call 606-800-8000.
The socialists who want to move into the White House have a lot of plans for your money. One of them is to control the price of food, and this is just the start. Could 401ks and IRAs be next on their agenda? It might sound far-fetched, but so did price fixing just months ago. Hi, Donald Trump Jr. here. If you've spent decades building your nest egg, you can act now to stop your savings from falling into the hands of the socialists. It's why Americans are turning to gold, the ultimate safe haven in uncertain times. To see how easy it is to diversify your retirement with gold, get a free info kit from my friends at Birch Gold by texting the word PROTECT to 989898. Birch Gold makes it easy to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold while preserving your tax advantage status. Don't wait any longer. Protect your financial future now. Text PROTECT to the number 989898 for your free info kit from Birch Gold, the only gold company I trust.
Paid for by Birch Gold Group.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck, and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment, coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
6:09, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of the Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of ad properties, Christie's International Real Estate, experts in the northwest suburbs and Chicago. You'll get the most value for your home. 708-828-0000. 40 minutes in on the Kennedy from O'Hare to the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike right now remains solid between the Tri-State and York Road through Elmhurst 2 right lanes are blocked on the Ike outbound. Jackknife semis in the ditch. A large emergency response there. It's 1 hour on the outbound Ike from the old post office back out to 390. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
For early this morning, we could pick up a shower, otherwise clouds and some sun today, the high 64, clearing tonight, low 43, and then mostly sunny for tomorrow and Sunday, high tomorrow 58, Sunday's high 62. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Light rain and 50 at O'Hare, cloudy in Joliet now, 52, 51, Lakefront. Your next news update is 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I want to stick on this abortion issue for a minute longer, since Philip from Blue Island was spreading the typical Planned Parenthood propaganda that we heard all throughout Roe. Back alley abortions, thousands of women died pre-Roe v. Wade. They're going to die again if Roe is overturned. And now OBGYNs surveyed say there are more deaths happening. Right. Well, the majority of OBGYNs are pro-abortion Democrats. And in the medical profession, generally speaking, unfortunately, this is the same propaganda they're running that they ran for 50 years during Roe. And it needs to be documented because, unfortunately, there are so many of those, as Heather McDonald calls them, stealing this phrase, typical sentimental women and people like Philip in Blue Island who have their pea hats affixed too tightly. Going back, Dr. Bernard Nathanson, who is one of the founders of NARAL, National Abortion Rights League, on the figure they would use all the time. If you paid attention to any of this debate over the last 50 years, 5,000 to 10,000 women die each year from illegal abortions. This is why you need abortion on demand. Save these lives. This is what Mika is talking about.
Okay.
Quote from Dr. Bernard Nathanson. I confess that I knew the figures were totally false. And I suppose others did too if they stopped to think about it. But in the morality of our revolution, it was a useful figure, widely accepted. So I go out of our way to correct it with honest statistics. The overriding concern was to get the laws eliminated, banning abortions, and anything within reason had to be done was permissible. The ends justify the means, which is a staple of the left. A staple, it's their coda. This is their animating principle. The ends justify the means. My position is so righteous that I can behave in an undignified, unethical, untruthful way in pursuit of it. Maureen Foe, in her book Roe v. Wade, an image of tens of thousands of women being maimed or killed each year by illegal abortion was so persuasive a piece of propaganda that the movement could be forgiven its failure to double-check the facts. Malcolm Potts, who was one of the original pro-abort activists, those who want the law to be liberalized, will stress the hazards of illegal abortion and claim that hundreds or thousands of women die unnecessarily each year when the actual number is far lower. From the book Sisterhood is Powerful, which is a sort of third-wave feminist Bible, a study made in the late 1930s, before the development of antibiotics made even illegal abortion less deadly than it used to be, came up with this number of 10,000 deaths. But it is no longer anywhere near the truth and has no place in any serious discussion about abortion. In point of fact, according to the Centers for Disease Control, the last time 1,000 women died of illegal abortions in the United States was in the year before penicillin became widely available to the public in 1942. In the 10 years preceding Roe v. Wade, deaths ranged from 9 to 150 per year. and there was a steady decline in abortion-related deaths from 1942 through to present.
It's news, opinion, insight.
God damn it.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
IC Catholic Prep in Elmhurst is an AP honor roll school dedicated to challenging and inspiring young men and women, offering opportunities to grow in your faith and participate in exciting extracurricular activities. IC Catholic Prep is a great choice because of their tight-knit community, dedicated teachers, and rigorous college preparatory curriculum. IC Catholic Prep is centered in Jesus Christ and rooted in Catholic tradition. Students learn, lead, and serve throughout their lives. Now is your chance to experience IC Catholic Prep at their open house on October 30th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. The campus is located just south of downtown Elmhurst at 217 South Cottage Hill. This open house is a fantastic opportunity to see firsthand how they foster a strong sense of community and academic excellence. Bring your middle school kids and see in person why IC Catholic Prep is the right choice for your family. For more details or to register for the open house, visit iccatholicprep.org. We look forward to welcoming you on October 30th.
I didn't do it yesterday. I had zero fruits or vegetables, no salad, nothing, double goose eggs. And that's where Balance of Nature comes in. 6 capsules. You're getting several servings of 31 different whole fruits and vegetables. I like to crack my capsules into warm water, stir it in, and voila, do it every day. Mom likes to put it over applesauce, or you can put it in one of your smoothies. It's the best thing to do for your body, heart, and mind, because you need to have fruits and veggies in your diet. And a lot of us have to admit we're not doing that, especially when you go through the drive-thru. You're not getting any fruits and veggies. So here's what you do. Order your fruits and vegetable supplements today by calling this number, 800-246-8751. Use coupon code Chicago to save 35% off your first set and free shipping. Yes, when you sign up as a new preferred customer. People who take it love it. And people always check in with me and tell me about their Balance of Nature success stories. I love it. 800-246-8751. Call now or do it the old way and go online at balanceofnature.com and be sure to use coupon code Chicago to save that 35%.
Have you heard about this guy, Donald Rainwater?
I sure have. Guy was a deadbeat dad. Total loser. Not only did Rainwater repeatedly fail to pay his child support, he filed for bankruptcy and had his car repossessed. But what did a court find he spent the money on? Cigarettes.
Hasn't he run for office twice before and lost each time?
Sure has. Maybe that's why he wants the job, so taxpayers pay off all his debts.
But there's someone even worse than Rainwater. This Jennifer McCormick character is a really out there liberal.
Yeah, she's a pro-Biden and pro-Kamala liberal. She opposed school choice, she supports boys in the girls' locker room, and did you hear what she said about Hillary Clinton?
Did you vote for Hillary Clinton?
She had some great, world foreign experience. So I did vote for Hillary Clinton.
Jennifer McCormick, she's hopelessly liberal.
I'm not voting for Rainwater or McCormick. They're both losers in my book.
Paid for by Indiana Republican State Committee, Inc.
Jordan B. Peterson, We Who Wrestle with God Tour.
If you say the truth and nothing else, you'll have an immense adventure as a consequence. You won't know what's going to happen to you, but the truth will reveal the world the way it's intended to be revealed, and the consequence for you will be that you'll have the adventure of your life.
Live at Rosemont Theater, January 15th. Get tickets this Friday at 10 a.m. at Ticketmaster.com. AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, all right, so I was rudely cut off by my internet service here, so sorry about that.
I would take it personally.
So anyway, I just rounding out this discussion on abortion and this propaganda that was used for 50 years by the pro-abort side. Back alley abortions, illegal abortions, thousands of women are going to die. It's being updated right now, post Roe v. Wade, in the Dobbs era by Mika and obviously all of these Kamala P hats to suggest that the same thing is happening that didn't happen back then and is not happening now. This is important because it's the thing that they found, the pro-abortion movement, as I was discussing in their own words, so persuasive. It was this very effective piece of propaganda. 5,000 to 10,000 women will die each year from illegal abortions if we don't make abortion on demand the law of the land. It's not true. It was never true. But it got women dying, obviously women and P-hats like Philip and Blue Island, all whipped up. And they're trying to do it again. So you need to know the facts.
Well, it's all
and you
they
need
have.
and you need to be able to push back. Right. And we also need to know who the extremist is on the issue. And it's certainly not Trump. It's Kamala Harris, as she documented again this week in that sit-down she did with NBC.
What concessions would be on the table? Religious exemptions, for example? Is that something that you would consider?
I don't think we should be making concessions when we're talking about a fundamental freedom to make decisions about your own body.
To Republicans like, for example, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, who would back something like this on a Democratic agenda if, in fact, Republicans control Congress, would you offer them an olive branch? Or is that off the table? Is that not an option for you?
I'm not going to engage in hypotheticals.
She never does.
Yeah, she never does, except when she does. She doesn't engage in hypotheticals that she doesn't want to engage in, and she engages other hypotheticals that she does want to engage in, which is what most people do who say, I don't engage in hypotheticals, because they're just trying to dodge being pinned down on a particular issue because she knows her position is extreme. But even with the I'm not going to be pinned down on a hypothetical with pro-choice Republicans like Murkowski and Collins, the statement she made, no religious exemptions for her, federalizing abortion as the law of the land, abortion on demand, because that's her actual position. Taxpayer funded, too, by the way, but that's her actual position. No religious exemptions. Right. If they can go after Little Sisters of the Poor with their Obamacare mandates, which they did, same people, same group, then of course they can go after religious institutions when it comes to abortion, and they will.
Yeah. And
they have.
Nuns perform abortions, yeah.
They will, and they have. Well, it's not going to be nuns, but
Well, I know.
Catholic-affiliated hospitals, for example. Yeah. So, I mean, I wish the Republicans. I know there are more pressing issues, but I wish Republicans would learn a little bit of a lesson, in part from Trump and Vance and how they've handled this. The Dobbs decision is the law of the land. That's every state decides. And, throw it back to the states. Frankly, that's what the pro-life movement argued for 50 years. So now we have it. So now you fight it out the state level. That's fine. That's fine. But you can't allow this propaganda to go unresponded to the way Republicans did for so long during Roe v. Wade, which is in part why it took so long. As strong and unyielding as the pro-life movement was, there was a lot of Republicans that essentially snowed them into believing that they were going to provide leadership on this issue when they got in office, and very few did. And the party as well failed to address this propaganda that the other side knew was very effective. Oh, and by the way, the whole idea now this is not pre-Roe America. This is post-Dobbs America. So the illegal abortions that were occurring in pre-Roe America, well, there's no need for them to occur in post-Dobbs America because there are many states that have legal abortion to varying degrees and some states that are completely out of their minds, like Illinois. So, the whole thing is a specious issue. It makes no logical sense, but logic, of course, is not something that is attendant to the thinking on the left.
Well, in Illinois, if you're in a nearby state that has certain bans on abortions or restrictions, we'll bring you here, we'll house you for the weekend and give you an abortion, and taxpayer dollars will pay for it.
Yes, we're the lead ghoulish state in the country.
Tourist industry.
Yeah, let's celebrate ourselves. Yeah. But so whatever your views on the topic are, let's at least start from a basis of fact and logic And this is where Philip and Blue Island and all these typical sentimental women get lost. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Hi, this is Pastor Jim Scudder, and I'm so thankful that In Grace Radio is on 560 AM The Answer every Sunday morning. Now, we're going to be on at a new time starting this Sunday, 7:30. We're on an hour later, and then you can listen to our Adventures in Grace, and I really hope that you will tune in every Sunday morning. May God richly bless you.
All right, tickets are still on sale for Freedom Summit. It is a week from tomorrow. Let's go. It's happening Saturday, November 2nd at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. It's a full day of keynote speeches, book signings, breakout sessions. I know I'm doing one with Jennifer Say and Jessica Hackett, and much more. Our headline speaker this year is the one and only Dinesh D'Souza. You'll also hear from economist Stephen Moore and Dr. Sebastian Gorka, along with many more. So if you haven't been to Freedom Summit, then you need to join us this year. And if you're a Freedom Summit veteran, we would love to have you join us again. We miss our friends. This is an annual event where you're with like-minded people. This event sells out every year, so do not wait to get your tickets. Go to freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. We have tickets available at several different price points to fit your budget. So get your tickets and make plans to join us at Freedom Summit Chicago 2024 on November 2nd, freedomsummitchicago.com.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $240. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part, my guidance cost you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
AM 560, The Answer.
So TMZ caught up with Mel Gibson catching a flight and asked him about the election. The TMZ stringer suggesting you're probably voting for Trump, aren't you?
I'm going to guess. Yeah. I'm going to guess Trump. Is that a bad guess?
I think it's a pretty good guess.
Well, what do you think the world will be like in a second term with the President Trump's second term? A lot of people
I know what it'll be like if we let her in.
Yeah. Oh, really?
And that ain't good.
Yeah. Well,
miserable track record, appalling track record, no policies to speak of.
Yeah. And the border, right?
And she's got the IQ of a fence post.
IQ of a fence post. Yes.
Yeah.
Don't hold back, man.
Mel in rare form, as per usual. The IQ of a fence post. There you go.
All right.
There's Mel Gibson's closing argument.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:36, we'll talk to JustTheNews.com's John Solomon. Among other things, interesting story he had about Trump's support for a certain comp fund at the federal level. We'll start there with Solomon at 6:36.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
6:30 on AM 560. The Answer, still light rain showers crossing the area. Reports say singer Beyonce will be with Vice President Harris at a rally in Houston today. However, the Harris campaign this morning is not publicly announcing anything about any appearance. Hunter Biden might get a pardon from the next president if that next president is Donald Trump. In an interview with Salem radio host Hugh Hewitt, the former president, saying he would not take that off the books. President Biden's son pleaded guilty to federal tax charges in September. 4 astronauts on a mission dubbed Crew 8 have returned to Earth from the ISS after almost 8 months.
And splashdown.
And Endeavour, we see the same. On behalf of SpaceX, welcome home.
Crew doesn't include 2 Starliner astronauts, Butch Wilmore or Suni Williams, who've been stuck on the International Space Station for 8 months. They'll return to Earth with 2 SpaceX astronauts in February. House Republicans traveling to Wisconsin today. They'll show that the border crisis is impacting more than just states along the U.S.-Mexico border.
Dodge County, Wisconsin Sheriff Dale Schmidt with a warning if the border crisis isn't addressed.
We will have more cartel members coming into the state of Wisconsin. We will have more instances of individuals threatening our families.
The sheriff telling the House Judiciary Committee during a field hearing in Wisconsin, where Republicans put the blame for the crisis on the Biden administration. The Democratic Party of Wisconsin firing back, saying, quote, extreme MAGA Republican lackeys would rather run on a problem than fix it. In Washington, Ryan Schmelz, Fox News.
Chicago-based McDonald's being struck with another lawsuit after an E. coli outbreak linked to their quarter-pound burgers. Clarissa DeBach of Nebraska says she fell ill with intense abdominal cramps after consuming McDonald's drive-thru 5 days earlier.
I was shocked. My fiance was shocked. The doctor was actually a little shocked, but they had told us actually that I was the 3rd case here in 2 days of E. coli, and that was a little strange, he had told us. They usually don't have maybe 1 case every other year.
A Colorado man also filed a similar lawsuit after contracting E. coli. Mayor Brandon Johnson's new handpicked members of the Chicago Board of Education are in place, all 7 officially sworn in yesterday. A Melrose Park man receives 47 years in prison for killing a well-known Chicago homeless man in 2022. Joseph Guardia was sentenced after pleading guilty to the murder of Joseph Cromelis as part of a deal with prosecutors. The man known as the Walking Man suffered third-degree burns when he was set on fire May of 2022. He died several months later. Embattled South Suburban Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard going on the defensive, releasing a 90-minute rant on Facebook Live defending her honor. She also threatened to have her opponents arrested. Human remains were found inside the wall of a home inside the far west suburbs in the late 1970s, and now they have been identified by Kane County Coroner Robert Russell.
Our running theory is that the skull there was probably somebody who was studying medicine that needed a cadaver or pieces of a cadaver to do whatever study that they needed to do, and then at some point knew the ramifications of having said item and probably put it in the wall.
By February of 2024, after a successful crowdfunding campaign, the coroner's office received a report indicating the DNA profile had yielded a match, revealing the skull belonged to Esther Granger of Maryville, Indiana, who may have been taken by grave robbers in the mid-1860s. The skull has been returned to a relative on the West Coast. The Bulls search for their first NBA win of the regular season when they visit Milwaukee tonight, while the Blackhawks will host Nashville at the United Center. World Series finally here. Dodgers and Yankees square off in Game 1. The News is a service of Valdecast Windows for the discerning homeowner looking for high-quality and professional-level window replacement service. Contact Valdecast Windows, your award-winning Platinum Elite Pella-certified contractor. Valdecast.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The lineup for Freedom Summit Chicago 2024 just got bigger with the addition of Dinesh D'Souza. He joins Dr. Sebastian Gorka and economist Steve Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, Jeannie Ives, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by attorney Stephen A. Leahy at Opum Tax Advocates and by Valdecast Incorporated Windows and Doors.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
Everything about your product is 100%. I look forward to it. I'll put it that way. I'm 71 years old. Balance of Nature is the absolute best product. I love your product. And you guys, when I call you on the phone, you're the best. So I'm very grateful.
My husband's a retired cop, and I worked in a hospital for years. I'm going out right now because I'm getting ready to paint my fence. It's just literally amazing. And, you know, you watch the TV articles and you go, yeah. Well, at least it's 100% returnable if it doesn't work. I'm not kidding you. It is the most amazing product I've ever taken.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com and get this special offer by using discount code Chicago.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Family, country, community. Ed Soliday has spent his life in service to others. A graduate of Valparaiso High School, Ed Soliday went on to attend Indiana University and served our country in the Army, where he earned the Distinguished Flying Cross, 2 Bronze Stars, and a Purple Heart. After his military service, Ed Soliday built a successful career as a pilot and flight safety expert, leading crisis management at United Airlines on 9/11. Now, Ed Soliday is serving us at the Indiana State House, where he puts people ahead of partisanship. Representative Ed Soliday is a respected voice working to protect taxpayers, secure our energy grid, and attract better-paying jobs to the region. Ed is endorsed by the Indiana Fraternal Order of Police, the Indiana State Police Alliance, and the Indiana Professional Firefighters PAC. Representative Ed Soliday. Common sense leadership for Northwest Indiana. Vote Ed Soliday for state representative on or before Tuesday, November 5th.
Paid for by friends of Ed Soliday Committee.
Is thinning hair or a receding hairline making you self-conscious? Try Hair Grow from New Nordic. Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start feeling your best with Hair Grow.
6:38. Let's get an update on the roads this morning. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Looks like rain is slowly moving out of the area, but it's left behind some problem spots on the inbound Kennedy. You're jammed up Austin to Montrose from earlier trouble. 55 minutes O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike on the outbound side, all jammed up from the Tri-State in that construction zone all the way out to York Road in Elmhurst. Due to an accident, 2 right lanes blocked as the jackknife semi is in the ditch. Bishop Ford stop and go inbound 111 into the Ryan merge, and in Wheaton this morning an accident Naperville Road and Butterfield Road. Traffic, a service of Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career you'll love with flexibility, great pay and benefits, and one of the country's top workplaces? Join their growing team. Go to progressive.com/careers. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Showers moving through early this morning. Clouds break in the midday for a little bit of sun in the afternoon. High 64. Clear and 43 overnight. Still some light rain reported at O'Hare and 50. Your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So Paul Thacker and Matt Taibbi, two investigative journalists, sat down to do Mario Nawfal's podcast to discuss the story we discussed yesterday on this Center for Countering Digital Hate that originates in the UK but made landfall in the U.S. to advance the censorious agenda of the left. And the documents that Thacker and Taibbi unearthed that show the plan of CCDH, which has been sued by Elon Musk because he knew what they were doing. Now there's some evidence to support it. Kill Musk's Twitter on their essentially objectives and targeting advertisers as the way to do it. Here is a little backstory on CCDH, because they didn't just get here and build this apparatus they have. The way that they came and how quickly they became prominent suggests that there's a more likely than not alliance with the party of one Kamala Harris.
Now, when they landed in D.C., what caught my attention about them, I was like, wait, who are these people? They've been they're being referenced from the podium of the White House. I worked in the Senate. I'm a creature of DC. I have friends on multiple committees. I have friends at multiple. I called a friend of mine who's now works on the House side for Democrats, and we're talking about this about 6 months ago. And I was just telling him, I was like, and I'm not going to say his name, this is a person with a career. I was like, think about this. You've worked at Public Citizen. You worked at a major donor. You know all these lefty do-gooder groups. You're now on the Hill. You went to one of the. You're a graduate of one of the top law schools in America. If you left the Hill tomorrow, could you raise $1.5 million the way Imran Ahmed did? And he's like, no. And I was like, that tells you something's going on. Where's this money coming from?
They had instantaneous pull at the highest levels, in a way that was not really explicable, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Oh, explicable other than to understand that they're allied with the powers that be in D.C., and that was Thacker first and then Taibbi at the end. More from Thacker on the report they issued on CCDH, Center for Countering Digital Hate, which is the podcast host pointed out. It sounds like a comic book villainous, right. A villainous comic book organization, the Center for Countering Digital Hate.
There was a Twitter file I found that I wrote about just a couple of months ago that showed that while Twitter was saying that, because after this all came out, we were independent of State Department, we weren't bending to FBI. You can go back and look at those Joel Roth statements. That was a total lie. And we know this in part because while Twitter was having State Department lean on them to say, we want you to censor certain things, Twitter was actively working with State Department, collaborating with them to deal with problems they were having in India. So it was just how can you be independent of State Department when you've hired a Democratic, lobbying firm, a former State Department led by Madeleine Albright, right, to help you deal with problems in India. Meanwhile, you're ignoring State Department. They tell you to censor things. It was one of the weirdest things ever. So none of this ever made any sense. At the most, what you can say is what the Twitter files showed us is something weird was going on here and we were being misled. This is a whole different level because now we know that one of the main groups involved in this, big disinformation, censorship industrial complex, they were actively working to kill Musk's Twitter. And the second bullet point on this, advertising focus, which is how we know this thing has been working. Let's label someone, let's make them look crazy, then they can't have a job, then they can't, have advertising, have any revenue flow. Musk has been complaining this is what's going on, right? He sued them because he knows that he knew this was going on. Now we have the proof.
For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by John Solomon, award-winning investigative journalist in his own right and founder of Just the News, justthenews.com. John, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, good to be with you.
Your reaction to the latest offering that's from essentially the Twitter or Xverse, as it were, the work of Thacker and Taibbi on this Center for Countering Digital Hate?
I've known Paul a long time, very long time, back when he was in the Senate. Listen, it's part of a large censorship ecosystem that the Democrats began advocating for after Donald Trump won in 2016 and after Brexit succeeded in Great Britain. And Western world suddenly turned on the notion that a free society should have free speech. And it's a massive ecosystem that was built, some of it with government money, some of it with government encouragement. CISA, the Homeland Security's Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, actually convinced itself that protecting infrastructure meant regulating speech. Mm-hmm. And they set forth and started having all of these seminars. And from these seminars came these nonprofit groups funded often by the left, designed to regulate speech and specifically regulate speech of the conservatives in the world, myself included. During the 2019 Hunter Biden scandal, when I broke all the stories, there was an effort to portray me as suddenly off-the-hinged journalist when every single thing I wrote at the time was true, and it's remained true 5 years later. In fact, more true than anyone ever knew, including myself, how big a scandal it would be. But the effort was to portray you as unhinged, to portray you as disinformation, and then over time to thwart your ability to succeed or to sustain yourself as a journalist by cutting off your advertising. So it moved from free speech to interference in the free marketplace. And these organizations popped up. Most of them were nonprofit, supported by tax-deductible donations. Some were for-profit, but they all worked together in concert with each other. And their goal was, their stated goal was to stop disinformation. Their real goal was to stop the free speech of conservatives and to ruin their business model short and long term. And they found complicitous actors in big tech, in big media, and in big government. And it wasn't until we started writing stories in the summer of 2020, all the way through early 2023, right after the Twitter files started coming out. But we identified the entire ecosystem with a great reporter named Greg Piper, and we made a map of it. And over time, the Foundation for Freedom Online with Mike Benz began to accelerate the spotlight on these groups, and slowly now they're beginning to fall away. There was another one that tried to start up. There was one that died called GARM, and then we kept an eye on it thinking, well, maybe they're not really going to die. Maybe they're just going to rebrand. And sure as heck, a new group popped up with the same mission with a different name, and that got highlighted quickly. Jim Jordan, the House Judiciary Committee chairman, started asking questions, and last week we learned that group said, you know what, it's not worth the aggravation of Congress always investigating us. We're not going to do it. We're not going to do it again ever. So slowly, because of the antiseptic of daylight, we're starting to expose and shut down what really is one of the most anti-First Amendment movements in the history of this country.
Wow. Is that NewsGuard you're talking about?
Nope. No, NewsGuard's a whole other one that we have to keep an eye on, right? We try to work with them. But at the same time, no, these are just other coalitions that are starting to form. They come up with good-sounding group names, but in fact what they're really doing is trying to find different avenues to, under the flag of disinformation, shut down free speech, particularly those of conservative and conservative news media. Well, and they've had a tremendous effect. I mean, the business model for conservative media has been strangled significantly over the last 3 years.
Well, I bring up NewsGuard because Mike Benz has brought up NewsGuard as an example of sort of the 2.0 version of this censorship industrial complex, where there won't be any need to talk directly to the social media companies to put pressure on them to comport with the wishes of the regime or the Beltway insiders. You'll just have these sort of independent operations like NewsGuard with all the usual suspects, General Michael Hayden and Tom Ridge, a former Homeland Security Secretary. They'll just be there, and they don't need to take they don't need any direction. You just sort of take your cues, and they're also talking about trying to sort of working with these social media companies to do front end censorship too, so you don't have to leave a footprint with back end censorship.
Listen, it's very interesting that one of the greatest acts of disinformation meddling in an American election. The letter written by 51 intelligence agents didn't get flagged by any of these disinformation entities. What does that tell you? That they're so good, they missed perhaps the single largest disinformation intrusion in the American public. And by the way, where did those 51 come from? They came from our intelligence agency. They came from the apparatus that Mike Hayden and others built in the aftermath of 9/11. By the way, on the watch of a Republican president. The Homeland Security apparatus took the moment of fear and horror that we all went through in 9/11 and turned it into a monstrous government agency that now really risks the intruding on a daily basis on the liberties of Americans. When Tulsi Gabbard can be put on a flight list just because she bolted from her party and decided to support Donald Trump, what does that tell you about how far this apparatus has been built? And it'll be incumbent, if Donald Trump wins the presidency, and that's still an if, but if he does, to begin dismantling this in a big way, because it still has massive funding, it still has massive bureaucracy behind it, and it has the mindset in a government agency that can be exported to these nonprofit groups. And it's going to be incumbent upon the president to dismantle whatever has been built at Homeland Security that thinks its job is to regulate political speech.
Well, John Solomon, I wanted to ask you about those 51 former senior intelligence officers, some CIA, who all have egg on their face. Did any of them come out and say, I was wrong? Or
Nope. Most of them have doubled down, saying they do it again. And I think that is so extraordinary in and of itself. And I think at the end of the day, one of the truisms, when you step back and you really look at what Paul Thacker and Matt Taibbi and John Solomon and Greg Piper and Mike Benz have been able to expose over the last 4 or 5 years, Michael Shackelford and others, the government created these PSYOP tools to fight our enemies after 9/11, psychological operations tools. You can make anything look like it is real, even if it isn't. That's what Russia collusion was about, right? We created the illusion that Donald Trump was a stooge of the Russian government when, in fact, he wasn't. These are all PSYOP tools that our own military turned. And then these military people who developed those tools for good reason, right, to fight the war, to fight terrorism, to fight our enemies abroad, turned these tools against the American people and began creating the illusion of truth in America, when in fact what they were doing was trying to defeat one side over the other in the classic Republican-Democrat election. These tools that create illusions, like the letter, the carefully worded letter that made it sound like the laptop was Russian disinformation when there wasn't an iota of truth, is not much different from the original Steele dossier, which made it look like Donald Trump was a Russian stooge. And let's keep in mind, when the Biden Justice Department put out its final report through the special prosecutor, they said there wasn't one iota of evidence to justify that. But they made it look real. And the ability to make things look real, the ability to use disinformation as a weapon, that emanated in our intelligence communities in the 9/11 era to fight people overseas. It's been turned on our own American people now.
And they're all singing from the same hymnal. They're doing it again with the notion. Yeah. I mean, this is rich too, not just the Hitler stuff, but the idea that, well, I guess it's associated. The idea that they have roundtables every day where Al Sharpton, are you worried that Donald Trump's going to put you in prison? Donnie Deutsch, are you worried that Donald Trump's going to put you in prison? He's going to put all of us wonderful journalists in prison. He's the real threat to freedom of speech and thought in America.
It is pretty remarkable. And it's pretty remarkable that in the last few days we saw Democrats embrace General John Kelly. Why is that? Because 3 years ago, the very same Democrats, including Kamala Harris herself, questioned his honesty, his ethics, his truthfulness. Kamala Harris said he can't speak truth to power. That was 3 years ago. Today, she's embracing him. Why? Because they turned down Donald Trump. This whole system got spun into a dizzy because Democrats could not stand the notion that Donald Trump had been selected by the American people, and it has now gone to a place where I don't think any of our founding fathers could ever have imagined.
You recently spoke to the aforesaid President Trump, former President Trump, and I thought it was interesting that this was a good idea that you guys kicked around, the notion that maybe Trump will set up a compensation fund for victims of illegal immigration when if and when he is installed as the 47th president. I think it would be appropriate because, I mean, they were invited in, they did harm to Americans. The federal government does have responsibility.
There is a history in the government, when the government approved something or did something that then became harmful to the American people, to create some form of compensation. Certainly the failures of 9/11 led to the 9/11 Compensation Fund. We have vaccine injury funds for vaccines that we approved for the American people, but then caused harm for some. And so the notion is actually rooted in a lot of history, and it's also rooted in Donald Trump's experience. He has spent so much time with the moms and dads of these young women who were raped and killed, and the young children that were killed, or the families that lost loved ones because a drunken driver who was illegally in the country crashed into their car. And I think he has felt very passionate about protecting them, helping them, and he knows they have lots of needs. Just having a press conference with them doesn't solve the issues that they may have with counseling and with family support and lost income. And so when I mentioned this to him, because Congresswoman Virginia Foxx had floated the idea, he hadn't heard of it, but he said, listen, I like this idea. It's the right thing to do. The government authorized these people into the country. These people then came and did heinous things. Maybe we should find a way to help those who've been victimized, because, by the way, they still haven't been able to lift themselves off the mat. They still have lots of pain and sorrow and needs and losses that need to be addressed. And so it's very interesting. He's been a very ideas-driven candidate all through this campaign, whether it's no tax on tips or considering this idea for a compensation fund, a reparations fund. Donald Trump has led with ideas, and Kamala Harris hasn't. She's actually tried to hide her ideas. And I think it's going to, when we wake up later in November after all the smoke's cleared from the election, I think it'll be Kamala Harris's unwillingness to put ideas on the table and Donald Trump's incessant machine of putting new ideas on the table that might have made the difference in this election.
John Solomon, award-winning investigative journalist, founder of Just the News, justthenews.com. John, thank you as always.
Yeah, great to be with you guys.
Thank you. Certainly is an honor. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Safety. It's so important at your industrial facility. You need to keep your personnel safe and meet OSHA requirements. One problem with your ladders, platforms, or safety guards, and you could be facing costly fines. Vans Industrial helps you meet OSHA standards to keep your employees safe.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. As a business owner, I realize the importance of keeping my employees safe, and I'm here to offer my expertise. Vans Industrial is a specialty contractor uniquely equipped to design, fabricate, and install safety equipment, including walkways, handrails, stairways, and machinery guards. Our Vans Industrial team can inspect existing systems, engineer solutions, fabricate quality goods, and install them with trained pros, all making a safer environment for your employees.
Call 833-VANS-IND for a free inspection of your facility. Interested in what else they do? Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANS Industrial.com. Quality craftsmanship since 1964.
Dan Proft here for Willows Academy, an authentically Catholic all-girls school that supports traditional values, where graduates attend some of the best colleges in the country. And last year's graduating class received more than $8 million in scholarship offers. For 50 years, Willows has partnered with families in the Chicagoland area to educate young women who will change the world. How do they do it? By developing virtue, intellectual clarity, and confidence in students to live by the values that have made America great. With all the pressure on girls from society and social media to conform, Willows offers your daughter a supportive environment that helps her understand and live the balance between authentic freedom and personal responsibility. As a parent, the quality of the education and the values of the school will give you serious peace of mind. So check out Willows Academy. They're having an open house this Sunday, October 27th, 1 p.m. You can register online at willowsacademy.org. This is open to all girls in grades 6 through 12. Again, the Willows Academy open house is this coming Sunday, the 27th, and you can register online at willowsacademy.org.
Balance of nature. Fruits and veggie supplements are packed with 31 frightfully good whole fruit and vegetable ingredients. Our blends help maintain your overall well-being. From the deep red cranberry to the rustic green cabbage, our special formula is no trick. Dare to discover the magical blends within. Open and sprinkle our fruits supplement powder into your cauldron brew, aka morning smoothie, or add our veggie supplement powder to your spooktacular concoction. Soup, we mean soup. This Halloween, treat yourself to a potion of wellness that's wickedly good with balance of nature.
Go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. And get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
I love that Balance of Nature ad. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Updating the story on one Avery Jackson at 7:07.
And look who called into J.D. Vance's town hall. Today it's going to be a high of 64 degrees at 7 a.m. WIND Chicago.
It's up to nearly 30 million Americans who've already voted early. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
Look, I'm not supposed to say it, but we are leading by so much.
That's former President Trump in Nevada, though many polls have showed the race against Vice President Harris is close to a tie. He also went to Arizona, saying the U.S. has become a garbage can for the world.
Kamala's migrant invasion, given to us through gross incompetence, disqualifies her from even thinking about being president. We can't let that happen.
Now, the vice president is touting a reduction in illegal immigration after a record surge. Former President Trump will go to Michigan and Texas today, and Fox's Brooke Singman reports Harris will also be in Texas today.
Where Beyonce is expected to perform. This after holding a star-studded campaign event in Georgia yesterday where Bruce Springsteen performed and also called out Trump.
Donald Trump is running to be an American tyrant.
Harris was also joined by former President Barack Obama at the rally, slamming Trump and doubling down on her economic policies.
She got a plan to make your life better. She's going to go after corporations that unfairly jack up prices.
2 American military members are in stable condition after U.S. Central Command says they were injured in Iraq in an operation targeting ISIS, killing 7 terrorists. Israel's on the attack again in Gaza, where Palestinians say an airstrike killed at least 38 people, and in Lebanon, where 3 journalists were killed.
Overnight, Israel struck suburbs in southern Lebanon and says it's dismantled tunnels of Hezbollah's elite forces.
Fox's Matt Finn in Tel Aviv also reports 10 Israeli soldiers have been killed in the past 24 hours. The Menendez brothers, convicted of murdering their parents 35 years ago in Los Angeles, could soon be set free. District Attorney George Gascon is pushing to resentence Lyle and Eric so the Menendezes can be paroled.
I do believe that the brothers were subjected to a tremendous amount of dysfunction in the home.
And molestation, he says. America's listening to Fox News. 51 degrees, gray skies, still some light rain showers crossing the area. At 7:02 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott. Prosecutors have begun playing recorded conversations for jurors at the corruption trial of former Illinois House Speaker Democrat Michael Madigan and co-defendant Michael McClain. Jim Talamonte has been for us at the Dirksen Federal Building.
Jurors heard conversations between Madigan and McClain, and between McClain and former state rep Lou Lang. When Lang faced a sexual harassment claim in 2018, Madigan and McClain discussed, quote, lowering the boom on Lang. After McClain asked Lang to consider stepping down, Lang asked McClain if Madigan would help Lang become a profitable lobbyist.
And do you think he would be helpful to me in business procurement?
Yes. Lang resigned and became a lobbyist a few months later. Tara Lee Davis, assistant professor of public law and political science at Bradley University, says the government has been investigating the Madigan case for almost a decade.
They've built a case that is not is not based on one witness's testimony.
I'm Jim Talamonte.
A $2 million settlement has been reached in a lawsuit that accuses a former CPS gym teacher of sexually assaulting young students.
This settlement is not a victory to be celebrated. For our clients, it marks a significant and positive milestone in a long and painful journey towards healing and recovery.
The suit claims instructor Andre Castro groomed and sexually abused 3 boys who attended Lorca Elementary in 2017. Thursday's settlement is in regards to a civil lawsuit. A criminal case is still pending. Chicago sports. The Bulls take on the Bucks tonight, just north of the Cheddar Curtain, while the Blackhawks host Nashville at the UC later tonight. Tomorrow, it's Northwestern and Iowa, number 13 Indiana in the Big Ten, taking on Washington. And number 20 Illinois looks to topple the number 1 team in the country, visiting number 1 Oregon. The news, a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants
is over. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager doesn't understand the never Trump mind.
I know Harris will ruin my country, but I can't vote for Donald Trump. That is why it is called Trump derangement syndrome. When one abandons rational moral thought on one issue, it is a syndrome.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Crime is up in Illinois, and I'm not sitting back to wait and watch dangerous radical left policies destroy Kane County. I'm Andrew Sosnowski. I have over 35 years of experience with prosecutions of crime, advocating for victims and children. I'm the independent prosecutor in the race for Kane County State's Attorney, and I will work to end cronyism in the office. I will root out the causes of crime, collaborate with law enforcement, and be the lead county prosecutor who will fight for our freedom, safety, and security. Vote for the only law and order candidate, me, Andrew Sosnowski, for Kane County State's Attorney on Tuesday, November 5th. Early voting starts September 27th and runs through November 4th. Go to SosnowskiForKane.com to learn more. Remember, without safety and security, we do not have liberty. I'm Andrew Sosnowski, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Sosnowski for Kane Committee.
The socialists who want to move into the White House have a lot of plans for your money. One of them is to control the price of food, and this is just the start. Could 401ks and IRAs be next on their agenda? It might sound far-fetched, but so did price fixing just months ago. Hi, Donald Trump Jr. here. If you've spent decades building your nest egg, you can act now to stop your savings from falling into the hands of the socialists. It's why Americans are turning to gold, the ultimate safe haven in uncertain times. To see how easy it is to diversify your retirement with gold, get a free info kit from my friends at Birch Gold by texting the word PROTECT to 989898. Birch Gold makes it easy to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold while preserving your tax advantage status. Don't wait any longer. Protect your financial future now. Text PROTECT to the number 989898 for your free info kit from Birch Gold, the only gold company I trust.
Paid for by Birch Gold Group.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
It's really quite extraordinary. And I'm 68 years old, and I've always been very, very active. My weight is a very good weight. I take care of my home all by myself. I have an acre of land. I'm so sold on this product, I can't tell you.
We love the Balance of Nature. Has been amazing. I keep seeing the ad for it, and I'm like, you know what? It wouldn't hurt to have more fiber. I don't know. We just feel better.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
7:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this look at the travel times is a service of the Chicago Board of Elections. Early voting in downtown Chicago now open through Election Day, November 5th. Go to the Chicago Voting Super Site or 69 West Washington board offices. Go to chicagoelections.gov as well for more information. On the Ike, as you travel on the outbound side, you now have an accident, left lane block. Outbound at Austin, they're removing an accident outbound near York Road, a right lane block that's been there quite some time, but travel times are improving on the outbound side there. Stevenson inbound, accident with two left lanes blocked between I-355, the Veterans Memorial Toll, and Lamont Road, and delays on the Bishop Ford. You're stop and go right now between 111th and the Ryan Merge. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
A shower in spots early this morning, otherwise clouds will give way to some sunshine. A high today at 64, clearing tonight, low 43. A sunny day tomorrow and also Sunday, high tomorrow 58, Sunday's high 62. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
51 at O'Hare, 52 Midway, 51 in Aurora, 52 Lakefront. Your next news update is at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. It's really interesting how prominent the trans issue has become in the presidential campaign, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
The ad that's certainly gotten the most buzz from either side is the ad that features the clip that we've played many times of Kamala being interviewed by a dude pretending to be a woman, where she commits to being supportive of taxpayer funding of gender reassignment surgeries for prisoners in California. And it just, I mean, does that really, is that a huge financial burden to California taxpayers or taxpayers generally? Is it the money thing? No.
It's the morality of it and the principle of it.
It's the judgment that it evinces, or the lack thereof.
It's also considering the victim's needs more. I'm sorry, the suspect's needs more than the victim's. Like, why would you give him any? He doesn't deserve it. He murdered 2 people, by the way, because he wanted to have money. Because, he killed people for drugs, sex, or money. He wanted the money to do a transgender surgery. So he kills them. He's in jail. And she gives him the operation anyway. It's you didn't really need to kill him. Just needed to go to jail.
You're talking about the yacht killer.
Yes.
Right. But yeah, so the fact that he's a prisoner, or you're talking about prisoners, I mean, adds another layer to it. But even if it wasn't a prisoner, the issue is still prominent in sports, with kids. It just speaks to judgment. And by the way, just on the sports piece, this is interesting. 275 LPGA golfers have signed a petition to stop this dude, Haley Davidson, from playing in the final rounds of the competition to qualify for a spot on the tour. 275.
Good.
Signed a letter sent to the LPGA and USGA saying this guy should be removed from the qualifying tournament because we don't want him to take a spot on the tour from a woman. Maybe there's a little turning happening. It's uneven. The LPGA, it's happening. I don't know about everywhere. But it is interesting how this issue has, amid all of the other quality of life concerns, sort of captivated people. It's gotten a lot more discussion than I thought it might otherwise. But these are heartbreaking stories, particularly when you're talking about kids, and they're insane policies when you're talking about the adults. Restore Childhood has a good thread here, catching us up on Avery Jackson. In 2017, you may remember, 9-year-old Avery Jackson became the poster child for trans kids. He was featured on the cover of National Geographic. The cover story, special issue, Gender Revolution.
Yeah, been wearing pink. I remember that.
And Avery's quote on the cover of the January 2017 edition of National Geographic: "The best thing about being a girl is now I don't have to pretend to be a boy." Well, that was Avery at 9. Here's Avery at 7, actually.
Hi, I'm Avery, and I'm 7 years old. I like to climb trees, be a ninja, pretend I'm animals, and all sorts of things. I like pretending I'm people from games. I like playing with my brother, and yeah, that's what I like to do. And oh yeah, I'm transgender.
Please. 7.
7. I like to play make-believe. I like to play all these characters, and I also am transgender.
Well, yeah, I like to climb trees too and do everything that kid said he did. I'm sure you did too when you were 7. But then throwing in, oh, and by the way, I'm transgender. Oh, who told you to say that, mom or dad? Because they want attention?
Well, I don't know. That's not clear to me. But what it speaks to is he's a 7-year-old boy who likes to play make-believe. That's hardly unusual. And all of the things he said are consistent with the desire to play make-believe.
Yeah.
I was born. Doctor said I was a boy, but I knew in my heart I was a girl. So I may have some boy body parts, but that's not wrong. That is okay.
Yeah. Sometimes I like to play as an animal or ninja, princess, but it doesn't mean my parents should treat me that way because it's just make-believe. That's also something Avery Jackson said. But once he came out, if you will, and the celebrity attached, Mom was all in. Following the cover story, National Geographic, he appears alongside his family and 3 other transgender children in an HBO documentary entitled Transhood. And that Transhood documentary tracked Avery and the other featured kids for 5 years.
We're going to Washington, D.C. We actually go and meet with our senators and representatives. After we do that, we go and sit and sell some of Avery's books for a little while.
I just don't want to even have a book. I've done too much in this world. It's ruined my life enough, and now everyone in this world is going to know. And it's just going to make my life worse.
A couple years ago, you wanted people to know.
Yeah, I did, but now that was really stupid, silly mistake, and now I don't.
Uh-huh. Well, it's a little too late because Mom was all in. She dismissed his change of heart, and she had thrown in with the trans activists. Avery was affirmed as a girl by everyone, including President Biden. His love of all things girly began to disappear as he got older. This is sort of documented in this documentary, at least in part. At age 14 to 15, Avery had been on a regimen of puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones, rendering him sterile for life.
Oh, God, please. No.
At 17, following his permanent chemical castration, Avery declared he wasn't really a girl, but now he's non-binary. Here's Mom.
As surprised as I was to find my family in the paper, I'm also incredibly proud. My daughter is 6 years old. She transitioned, which means she changed her outward appearance from male to female and started living full-time as her true gender when she was 4. Until that point, she was quite a rough-and-tumble little boy with a buzz cut and a shark tooth necklace. But when she was 3, she asked her dad and I if we could buy her a princess dress. We didn't buy the dress. We thought she might be going through a stage of liking bright or sparkly things and didn't want to waste money on something she would grow bored of in a week. But she kept asking, and I found out that she had a favorite princess dress she wore at daycare. What the heck, we thought, and we took her to the store to pick one out. Things didn't stop there. Over the next few months, she started to wear that dress every single minute that she was at home. And then she asked for more. Dresses, nightgowns, headbands, sparkly pink shoes, and eventually even girls' underwear. We allowed some of those things, but we drew the line at the undies. There were just some things we weren't comfortable with during this phase. But then I noticed her pushing down on her genitals a lot, and I asked her what was wrong. Not having those parts, I assumed she might have a rash and was itchy, but her answer shocked me. She said that they bothered her and were in the way. She wanted them gone. Thank God for Google, because I immediately jumped on the computer and typed in a search. 4-year-old boy says genitals should be gone. What came back was a very short list of results, but they all pointed to one thing. My child might be transgender.
I mean, woman, I have boys, and they went through a phase where like, oh yeah, we trying the dress, trying your mom's shoes, walk around, and then you move on to the next thing.
I did that in my 30s, like every other young man too. Like George Santos.
Exactly. I mean, look at George. He didn't cut off his naughty bits yet. But I mean, just the sickness of
course,
you give your kids everything that they want just because they say they want something. You just cater to their every need. Stop it. Be a parent. It's just.
Avery was a toddler who liked pink and dresses. He had discomfort with his male genitals, so Mom went on the internet where she found her child might be transgender. Then the pediatrician affirmed it, and then she committed herself to transitioning her son at the age of 7.
I've told you this before. I have friends that are transgender. One I didn't even know. I knew her for 9 years at church. I had no idea. But they don't like. She's like, I was 21. I mean, I spent years, I thought, knowing, but I did not do anything to my body until it was my choice when I was an adult. She does not approve of what is going on with parents allowing and doing this to their own children.
Well, this is the story of a cult, in part. And Debbie Jackson got brainwashed. Restore Childhood, this organization that lays the story out, does a nice job, has some good commentary as well. Debbie Jackson faced her son's insurmountable distress by seeking the opinion of an expert who recommended raising the boy as a girl. Debbie's decision to follow the expert's advice made her a social pariah. Persecution further drove Debbie into the clutches of trans activists. When this little boy's mom was told by the experts that she must trans her son and she faced social backlash for it, she dug her heels in further. She didn't have a child 17 years ago expecting to be a trans activist. She genuinely believed castrating her son saved his life. She felt persecuted for following the expert opinion to transition her son, and she went from skeptic to true believer. As her son began to change and grow out of his girly, quote-unquote, girly behaviors, his mom had already committed fully to the transition. Even as this little boy turned trans kid pioneer, began to grow out of his girl identity phase, his mom had already rerouted her life's mission to pursuit of a techno-medical fantasy. If only her little boy had been allowed to have his princess phase in peace. Right. But, I mean, the mom, too. I mean, we've talked about this before. Once you commit to something like this, and once you do these things and allow these things to be done to your child, what choice do you have at that point other than to believe that you are acting in your child's best interests and you're doing something courageous and he or she is doing something courageous, and you look for people who will tell you that you're doing something courageous? Because otherwise, what are you doing? Abusing your child?
God forbid.
Frank, Board of Trade.
This contagion is a mental disorder that the parents have. This is Munchausen's by proxy, nothing more.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Thanks for the call, Frank. But it's real and it's out there. And we'll talk a little bit later in the show about whether, because Rui Teixeira has an interesting piece at Liberal Patriot about the progressive moment being over. I don't think it's over. I mean, it may be over in terms of you're not going to be able to elect Kamala Harris, but that doesn't mean it's over culturally. Just means the show's over for Kamala.
Right. So a lot of text messages. Dan and Amy, this woman needs to be locked up, never to be near children again. And another one, kind of comical. Dan and Amy, I'm so glad my parents didn't cut off my leg and remove my eye when I thought I was a pirate at age 7.
Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Hi, I'm Mark Rice, former Texan, energy entrepreneur, family man, and football coach. I'm running for U.S. Congress in the 8th Congressional District. It's time for something different. We've all had enough of losing to the Democrats and the corrupt career politicians that are ruining our state and cities. I'll take action and bring some common sense to Congress. I'm not afraid to meet head-on the challenges we face daily, like the border situation, crime in our neighborhoods, inflation of everyday items like food, gas, and medical needs. We need to protect our freedoms, and I'm the person to get the job done. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Support my campaign in the 8th District, and let's take back our country, one House seat at a time. Vote for me, Mark Rice, for Congress. Go to rice4congress.com to get involved. I'm Mark Rice, and I approve this message. Paid for by Mark Rice for Congress Committee.
So how do you do it, Justin? How do you take your balance of nature? And what time of day do you take yours? Because a lot of people I talk to take it in the morning, some at night. What about you?
I try to do it right in the morning.
Okay. And you just swallow those capsules?
Oh, yeah. That's the easiest way.
Oh, I crack mine open under warm water, and voila, I have the energy that I need to make it through the day. Why do I take Balance of Nature? Well, not getting enough fruits and veggies on my own, and that's where the Balance of Nature fruits and veggie supplements come into play. 6 capsules, providing your body, heart, and mind with several servings of 31 different whole fruits and vegetables. And if you get a craving in the afternoon for some candy or a cookie, I grab one of those fruit capsules and just chew on that, and voila, I'm all good. To order your fruits and veggie supplements, call this number, 800-246-8751. Use coupon code Chicago to save 35% off your first set and free shipping when you sign up as a new preferred customer. The number again, 800-246-8751. Call now or order online at balanceofnature.com, and be sure to use coupon code Chicago to save that 35%.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
With Cybersecurity Awareness Month winding down, LifeLock wants to remind you to update your software. These updates are used to patch up security issues that identity thieves can exploit to gain access to your personal info. But for comprehensive identity theft protection, there's LifeLock. LifeLock alerts you to more uses of your personal info and fixes identity theft issues that arise. Start your 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use my name as your promo code, Clay.
Dan Proft here for Willows Academy, an authentically Catholic all-girls school that supports traditional values, where graduates attend some of the best colleges in the country. And last year's graduating class received more than $8 million in scholarship offers. For 50 years, Willows has partnered with families in the Chicagoland area to educate young women who will change the world. How do they do it? By developing virtue, intellectual clarity, and confidence in students to live by the values that have made America great. With all the pressure on girls from society and social media to conform, Willows offers your daughter a supportive environment that helps her understand and live the balance between authentic freedom and personal responsibility. As a parent, the quality of the education and the values of the school will give you serious peace of mind. So check out Willows Academy. They're having an open house this Sunday, October 27th, 1 p.m. You can register online at willowsacademy.org. This is open to all girls in grades 6 through 12. Again, the Willows Academy open house is this coming Sunday, the 27th, and you can register online at willowsacademy.org.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, Bill Clinton on the trail for Kamala Harris. He's not helping. I don't think he's helping.
No.
Particularly when he's talking about how vulnerable she is. Of course, it's not her fault, but nonetheless, it doesn't inspire a lot of enthusiasm.
But about 45% of the people think he can do no wrong, and they don't care if we save our democracy or not. So there is a sliver there that has to make up their mind. And to them, Kamala Harris just showed up. I mean, she was there as vice president, and what they think of her largely depends on what they think of President Biden.
Oh boy.
But she is extremely vulnerable, more vulnerable than she deserves to be. through crazy attacks. So they've been thinking, the Republicans, all this time, how can we go on the attack?
Vulnerable to attacks, right. You mean the record? Her positions? Right. It is interesting. He is right about this. They see Biden and Harris together. Yeah, that's why they both have about a 42% approval rating, which is a problem. Bill Clinton also offered this commentary on the Senate race in Arizona.
Yeah,
That's Carrie Lake and Ruben Gallego.
Running against someone who is physically attractive but believes that politics is a performance art.
Just say it. She's hot, Bill. Come on.
Oh, boy.
Easy on the eyes. Oh, Carrie Lake is beautiful.
Sending a little overture her way, maybe, huh? Has
boy.
Carrie Lake responded to that bon mot from Bill yet?
I'll check. I keep checking her Twitter account. She says she doesn't know me. I'm so crushed. That was like the day my heart sank into my stomach. Remember when we had her on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got
She
you
didn't
two were at
remember
Iowa
me
at
at
the
all.
same time.
Yeah,
and
we took intro to TV and film. I have film.
You remember
with
her.
She don't remember me. Whatever, girlfriend. It doesn't matter. We still voted for her. Well, not we, but Mom did. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:37, our friend Bjorn Lundberg from the Copenhagen Consensus Center on why Kamala, speaking of Kamala, has stopped talking about climate change. I thought it was this existential threat, maybe as big a threat as Trump Hitler. That's 7:37.
But now let's stop by the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott once again.
51 degrees. Skies are gray this morning and rain showers will extend for a little while longer. By the afternoon, might see some breaks of sunshine. And at 7:30 this morning, reports say that Vice President Harris will rally in Houston today, although the Harris campaign has not publicly announced an appearance of any more celebrities. There are rumors that singer Beyonce will be with the vice president. Hunter Biden might get a pardon from the next president if the next president is Donald Trump. In an interview with radio host Salem's Hugh Hewitt, the former president saying he wouldn't take that off the books. 4 astronauts on a mission dubbed Crew 8 have returned to Earth from the International Space Station almost 8 months after they left.
And splashdown.
And Endeavour, we see the same. On behalf of SpaceX, welcome home.
The crew does not include the 2 Starliner astronauts, Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams. They're stuck on the ISS until next February. McDonald's being struck with another lawsuit after an E. coli outbreak was linked to their quarter-pound burgers. Clarissa DeBach of Nebraska says she fell ill after consuming McDonald's 5 days earlier.
I was shocked. My fiance was shocked. The doctor was actually a little shocked, but they had told us actually that I was the 3rd case here in 2 days of E. coli, and that was a little strange, he had told us, because they usually don't have maybe 1 case every other year.
She's seeking compensation for lost wages, medical bills. Colorado man also filed a similar lawsuit after contracting E. coli from a quarter-pounder. Mayor Brandon Johnson's new hand-picked members of the Chicago Board of Education are in place. All 7 officially sworn in yesterday. And then parents lined up to protest the closing of several Acero charter schools in prominent Hispanic neighborhoods.
Tomorrow is a fully enrolled, high-performing Southside school and dedicated group of teachers and families. How do you close this school?
The new school board didn't address that issue or the future of CPS CEO Pedro Martinez. A jury convicts a man of killing an incoming Northwestern grad student in 2018 on Chicago's North Side. Deontay Speed was found guilty of first-degree murder in the shooting death of Shane Colombo. Part of the Safety Act, the Pretrial Fairness Act, has been in effect since September of 2023. And this morning, McHenry County State's Attorney Patrick Kennelly saying the data in his county doesn't show what proponents promised.
There was a 30% increase in crime by those on pretrial release compared with those on cash bail.
The Illinois Network for Pretrial Fairness claims in response that Kennelly is conflating data. Chicago sports, Bears back in action Sunday, but their game has been flexed to later in the afternoon, 3:25, as they visit Washington. Tonight, the Bulls will visit Milwaukee while the Blackhawks will host Nashville. 7:34. We'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
It's really quite extraordinary. And I'm 68 years old, and I've always been very, very active. My weight is a very good weight. I take care of my home all by myself. I have an acre of land. I'm so sold on this product, I can't tell you.
We love the Balance of Nature. Has been amazing. I keep seeing the ad for it, and I'm like, you know what? It wouldn't hurt to have more fiber. I don't know. We just feel better.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Family, country, community. Ed Soliday has spent his life in service to others. A graduate of Valparaiso High School, Ed Soliday went on to attend Indiana University and served our country in the Army, where he earned the Distinguished Flying Cross, 2 Bronze Stars, and a Purple Heart. After his military service, Ed Soliday built a successful career as a pilot and flight safety expert, leading crisis management at United Airlines on 9/11. Now, Ed Soliday is serving us at the Indiana State House, where he puts people ahead of partisanship. Representative Ed Soliday is a respected voice working to protect taxpayers, secure our energy grid, and attract better-paying jobs to the region. Ed is endorsed by the Indiana Fraternal Order of Police, the Indiana State Police Alliance, and the Indiana Professional Firefighters PAC. Representative Ed Soliday. Common sense leadership for Northwest Indiana. Vote Ed Soliday for state representative on or before Tuesday, November 5th.
Paid for by Friends of Ed Soliday Committee.
If you're experiencing low energy, brain fog, or bloating, then your body might need a detox. Active Liver from New Nordic makes it easy to help your liver to detox your body all year long without major changes to your diet or lifestyle.
7:37, the news, the service of Turnkey.pro. Turnkey will fully protect your network for less than the price of a monthly car payment with up-to-date cyber protection, unlimited backup, unlimited 24/7 help desk support, and real-time threat hunting. Protect your small business today. Visit Turnkey.pro today. Outbound on the Eisenhower, they're removing an accident near York Road from your commute. Outbound, you're still delayed, St. Charles all the way through North Avenue. Inbound Stevenson, due to an earlier accident, you're on the brakes between the Veterans Toll Road, I-355, and Lamont Road. Outbound Dan Ryan jams up this morning between the Burns Circle and Roosevelt. Traffic is a service of Trim Light Chicago. Don't let hanging holiday lights get you in a Scrooge mood. 'Tis the season to save time, money, and energy with permanent, programmable holiday lighting for your home. Get your free quote today at trimlight-chicago.com. Dan and Amy continue next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. A shower early this morning. Otherwise, clouds will break, high 64. Mainly clear in 43 overnight. Currently, light rain in 51, officially, at O'Hare. DuPage Airport 51, Wheeling 51, and along the lakefront 52. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Yesterday we talked about Bill Ackman's comments on CNBC, the billionaire financier Bill Ackman, who is a Democrat who has crossed over to support Trump and been pretty outspoken about it and laid out his case for his support. But the way he described thinking about the race, too, was teams, the Trump team and the Kamala team. With Trump, his selection of J.D. Vance, who came from nothing to Yale Law and venture capitalist, and he's a smart guy. And on the other side, you've got Tim Walz, who's a self-identifying knucklehead, who I think Bill Ackman said, nobody, did he say nobody take him seriously as president? Yeah, I think he said something to that effect.
No one would take him seriously if he were to become president.
Yeah. And on down the line. So other team members on Kamala's team, one of them is her climate engagement director.
Oh, I applied for that position. I haven't heard back yet.
Kamala Thorndike is her name. She's the one who made things more complicated for Kamala this week when she told Politico that Kamala is not for banning fracking, but she's also not for promoting the expansion of oil and gas.
Right.
So voters who care about climate change understand that she is someone that not only movements can work with, but she has championed these causes and that we know who she is. There's the wink and a nod to the eco-supremacists. Well, then the press reports those comments, and now she's got to backtrack.
Oh, she is?
Much like the candidate she works for. I didn't explain myself clearly. The VP has not banned fracking, doesn't support banning fracking, and in fact cast the tie-breaking vote on the biggest pro-climate law ever, which, yes, opened new fracking leases. People know that's her position.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
They know nothing because this is a campaign of subterfuge with a team practiced in the dark art. A little bit about Thorndike. She was a legislative assistant to Bernie Sanders.
Of course.
She was a policy director for Rewiring America. The position of Rewiring America, to electrify everything, you'll need to replace any machine that currently burns fossil fuels, your gas-powered car, furnace, water heater, kitchen stove, and dryer. Right. That's the program here.
And then soon timed showers, right? Yeah.
So maybe with climate engagement directors like Camilla Thorndike, maybe that helps explain why Kamala has stopped talking about that alleged existential threat called climate change. This is the subject of a recent piece from our friend Bjorn Lomborg, president of the Copenhagen Consensus think tank and author of Best Things First, who joins us now. Bjorn, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Hey, Dan. Hey, Amy. Great to be here.
So how do you explain Kamala's recent silence on the existential threat? We have 6 years left on this planet, climate change.
Well, that's exactly right, Dan. She doesn't talk about climate because fundamentally the climate policies that are on sale, and certainly the ones that Biden and Harris have been promoting, are essentially incredibly costly ways of doing very little. We know the Inflation Reduction Act would cost at least $369 billion over 10 years, but it's much more likely that over the next 2, 3, 4 decades, it'll cost more than $3 trillion, and yet it will cut temperatures by the end of the century by much less than 0.03 degree Fahrenheit. Fundamentally, we're going to be paying a lot of money and get almost nothing for it. Very clearly, you're not going to be advocating that. You're not going to be saying we should do more of that sort of thing. That doesn't work in a democracy. And that's, of course, why Harris, and Trump for that matter, is silent on it. But really what that tells you is this is a really bad deal, and we need to find smarter ways to fix climate.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one of the sort of the ways they sell these policies. It's a grandiose vision about saving the planet, pay no attention to the details, and when we get in, then we'll do the details quietly, mainly through administrative agencies, and all of a sudden you wake up one morning and your toilet tank is shrinking and your stove has to go and so on and so forth.
And perhaps it's worth looking at the EU, which of course has gone much further, the European Union, and basically what we've seen over the last a little more than 20 years, electricity prices have gone up much more than 50%. We're just paying a lot more money. Arguably, we're paying somewhere between $300 and $400 each person in the European Union more for electricity because of our climate policies. That's a bad deal. I mean, yes, if we were then saving the world, maybe it'd be worth it, but that's not what we're talking about. Again, the EU will do a minuscule part of the reduction in the world. So we're essentially paying a lot of money for very little benefit. And of course, that in the long run turns people off that sort of policy.
Well, and what about nuclear too? I mean, because they generally take these same people sort of generally take a hostile posture towards nuclear, which is curious because it's clean energy. But I mean, the demands in the West, the data center energy demands are driving things like the reopening of 3 Mile Island and discussions of not the huge nuclear power plants, but thanks to technology, some of the smaller nuclear power centers that can be stood up. So what your view on that?
Exactly, Dan. So again, fundamentally, there's 2 points. One is we should not shut down nuclear power plants that are already running. They've basically been paid for. We've already committed to decommissioning at some point. Right now, they're producing almost free, as you point out, clean energy. Of course, we should just keep them going. Unfortunately, that's not what has been happening either in New York or in California, and certainly not, for instance, in Germany, where they've shut down all of their nuclear power plants and basically replaced it all with coal and gas. That's a dumb idea in any sense of the word. Now, building new power plants turns out to be a lot more costly, and that's why we really should be focusing on what you just talked about, those small modular nuclear power plants that we're thinking about will be the fourth generation that could potentially be much, much cheaper because they can be produced essentially like Ford did with the Ford T. We just produce lots of them, and it will become very cheap for each one of them. Each one of them will perhaps take up as much space as a shipping container and could basically power a whole neighborhood. That kind of thing would be incredibly ideal. We should definitely look into it. Again, this is future, so we should always be a little aware that people are trying to oversell it, but this could be one of the solutions where we could get lots of cheap power that was also incredibly clean.
It just seems to me that you have this bulwark against common sense and really trying to find innovation and solutions. The individuals we're talking about, the Camilla Thorndikes of the world, I mean, they're just ideologues. Yeah. They want to ban fossil fuels, and they want to do it as quickly as possible, regardless of the consequences.
Oh God, yes. I mean, if you're incredibly worried, and look, this is not unrealistic that you are. If you read sort of mainstream media, the feeling is that the world is really about to falter because of climate change. Of course, most of those stories are just simply wrong. Remember how you heard about how all the polar bears would die out? Well, actually, the truth is that we've never had more polar bears since the 1950s. Mostly because we stopped shooting them, and that's a really good idea. But this is not rocket science. You need to tell your kids, fundamentally, the world is pretty good. There are problems, yes, and we should fix them, but this is not the end of the world. Well, and so I live in southern Sweden near Denmark, and one of our Danish meteorologists just suggest, because he was so worried about climate, that we should literally go back to the lockdowns of COVID. And I'm like, what planet are you worried? I get that you're worried, but this is not going to work. And of course, you're never going to get people to vote for that kind of craziness.
Bjorn Lomborg, I have to tell you, the same thing happened during COVID. I was at a chiropractor, and she said, well, this is just, a dress rehearsal for the, climate lockdowns that we're going to be doing later on in life. But you debunked the polar bear, which was the emblem of climate apocalypse back in, 2006. Then they moved on to the Great Barrier Reef. How is that faring?
So again, the point is the Great Barrier Reef since 1986, they've actually done official surveys of the Great Barrier Reef, how much coral is there. And the last 3 years, they've never seen more coral in their measurements. It's doing incredibly well. Now, again, there are problems. We have bleaching events, but they have happened all the time. And they've been happening certainly for the last 8 years. There's been, 5 bleaching episodes? But still, we see the data from 2023, 2024, which is the latest data, being the maximum we've ever seen. So we need to know. You hear a lot about this is terrible, this is a catastrophe. The Guardian wrote the obituary of the Great Barrier Reef in 2014, but the truth is, it's never been better.
We're just coming out of hurricane season and hardly unscathed, as you well know, in Florida and North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee. And CBS News had a report last week about how Chicago could soon be experiencing a more severe hurricane season. Chicago, because of climate change. So I just wanted a little bit of a refresher for people from you on hurricanes over time and what we know. So fundamentally, we can't see the signal in data. Even NASA is telling us we cannot see a climate signal in the data. We expect in the future that there will be fewer hurricanes, which is better, but they will be slightly stronger, which will be worse. So there is a problem in the long run future, but it's a much, much smaller problem than what most people talk about. Of course, the vast majority of the problem that we see both in Florida and everywhere else is the fact that we have many more people living, for instance, in coastal areas with much more stuff. They're just much richer. That's why we see more problems. That's why we see more billion-dollar damages, not because of climate, but because of social impacts. Just remember, from 1900, the U.S. has increased its population by a little over 4 times, but the Florida coastal counties have increased 67 times. Not surprisingly, when you have a lot more people with much more stuff, you get more damages. We should be careful about that. We should make sure that people, for instance, have better building regulations. But fundamentally, this is not a problem that's going to be a huge game changer. I wanted to get your temperature on green energy subsidies too. This bit in a little ironic twist, which is fun, except I don't like the underlying policy. Elon Musk yesterday, Tesla had, I think, its second best day in the market ever. He became billions of dollars richer after a strong earnings report from Tesla, $2.2 billion in profit, which is a 17% increase from a year earlier. However, it's green energy subsidies that are driving that profitability. Auto sales increased by 1%, while regulatory credits grew 33%. The regulatory credits accounted for a third of Tesla's profit. And so, I like Elon Musk and all, but I'm not really interested. I don't like oil. I don't like subsidies for the oil and gas industry, and I don't like subsidies for green energy either. There's a competitive marketplace, but that means everybody competes on an equal playing ground rather than, the government largesse for selected favored industries or sectors. I mean, I'm all for innovation, but not driven by politicians' industrial policy, and I wanted to get your take on that.
Yeah, I mean, look, politicians for at least 5-10 years have decided we should all switch to electric cars, but the problem is that most people don't seem to agree. When you ask most American people, they want their next car to be a gasoline or a diesel-driven car as well. And not surprising, because then you can actually, fill her up in just a couple of minutes instead of having to wait for 40 minutes and actually have an access to a charger. And of course, there's a whole problem of what are you going to do if you don't live in a house, which a lot of people don't do. If you live in cities, where are you going to charge your car? There are all these kinds of problems. Look, I totally agree with you. I'm all for innovation. Once the electric car becomes a better car, than gasoline-driven cars. You don't need to mandate them. You don't need to subsidize them, which is really bribing people, and you don't need to outlaw gasoline cars. People will just simply switch. We're not seeing that in most of the world. We are actually seeing a lot in China because, as we know, China can actually mandate what people do, and they want to move away from being dependent on oil and instead be able to have all their cars run on electricity, which in many cases will be powered by coal. I get that. That's probably smart for China, but fundamentally, most people don't want electric cars. Let's move to the day when people want electric cars because of innovation. That'd be great, but we should not be spending tons of money cutting a tiny bit of CO2 emissions for a very, very large subsidy. That's just dumb.
Bjorn Lomborg, president of the Copenhagen Consensus think tank, author of Best Things First. Bjorn, thank you as always.
Great to talk to you guys.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Have you heard about this guy, Donald Rainwater?
I sure have. Guy was a deadbeat dad. Total loser. Not only did Rainwater repeatedly fail to pay his child support, he filed for bankruptcy and had his car repossessed. But what did a court find he spent the money on? Cigarettes.
Hasn't he run for office twice before and lost each time?
Sure has. Maybe that's why he wants the job, so taxpayers pay off all his debts.
But there's someone even worse than Rainwater. This Jennifer McCormick character is a really out there liberal.
Yeah, she's a pro-Biden and pro-Kamala liberal. She opposed school choice, she supports boys in the girls' locker room, and did you hear what she said about Hillary Clinton?
Did you vote for Hillary Clinton?
She had some great, world foreign experience. So I did vote for Hillary Clinton.
Jennifer McCormick, she's hopelessly liberal.
I'm not voting for Rainwater or McCormick. They're both losers in my book.
Paid for by Indiana Republican State Committee, Inc.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
It's really quite extraordinary. And I'm 68 years old, and I've always been very, very active. My weight is a very good weight. I take care of my home all by myself. I have an acre of land. I'm so sold on this product, I can't tell you.
We love the Balance of Nature. Has been amazing. I keep seeing the ad for it, and I'm like, you know what? It wouldn't hurt to have more fiber. I don't know. We just feel better.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $240. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part, my guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551. 1551.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Paul Jenkins, owner of Bancroft Architects and Engineers, a service-disabled veteran-owned small business providing design solutions for clients, including the VA. When looking for a trusted banking partner, Bancroft was lucky to find that partner in Signature Bank in 2015. With Signature, personal service goes beyond a login and a PIN number. My staff and I have the comfort of knowing that we're dealing with real people who know our business and care about us as individuals. Signature helped finance our new state-of-the-art facility, and Bancroft looks forward to further expanding business opportunities for disabled veterans and historically disadvantaged communities.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Jordan B. Peterson, We Who Wrestle with God Tour.
If you say the truth and nothing else, you'll have an immense adventure as a consequence. You won't know what's going to happen to you, but the truth will reveal the world the way it's intended to be revealed, and the consequence for you will be that you'll have the adventure of your life.
Live at Rosemont Theater, January 15th. Get tickets this Friday at 10 a.m. at Ticketmaster.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:08, Chicago radio legend Kevin Matthews joins us. He has a new book about the Broken Mary story. The Broken Mary story turned into a book. It's called Mary's Roadie. We'll refresh your recollection in case you've forgotten about the Broken Mary story and hear about his book, Mary's Roadie. Kevin Matthews, 8:08.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
A man sentenced to 47 years for killing a homeless man. The Bears take on the Commanders, and the Bulls visit the Bucks tonight while the Blackhawks host the Predators. WIND Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
It is not considered a toss-up state. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, but the road to the White House runs through Texas today. Former President Trump and Vice President Harris will go there. Fox's Brooke Singman reports.
Trump will sit for an interview with podcasting giant Joe Rogan at Rogan's studio in Austin, Texas. He's also expected to take part in campaign events in Texas and Michigan. The Harris campaign is saying the vice president will not be doing Rogan's podcast because of scheduling conflicts.
Well, instead, the vice president will be in Houston today with Beyonce taking the stage with her. The day after Bruce Springsteen and former President Obama joined her at a Georgia rally.
She's running to be the 47th president of the United States. Donald Trump is running to be an American tyrant.
We do not need 4 years of a wannabe king, a wannabe dictator running around trying to punish his enemies.
Now, the former president rallied in Las Vegas last night.
This election is a choice between whether we will have 4 more years of incompetence, failure, and disaster, or whether we will begin the 4 greatest years in the history of our country.
Now in Arizona, former President Trump again blamed Vice President Harris for record illegal immigration and migrant crime.
We're like a garbage can for the world. That's what's happened. That's what's happened.
More than 30 million Americans have already voted early. Delaware, the latest state to allow that in person starting today. Rockets and missiles keep flying in and out of Lebanon, where 3 journalists were killed as Israel attacks Hezbollah militants who've killed 10 Israeli soldiers in the last 24 hours. McDonald's says it was onions on top of quarter pounders that made about 50 people sick in 10 states. 1 died. McDonald's says they came from Taylor Farms in California. Now, in some areas,
McDonald's has temporarily stopped making quarter pounders. Several other fast food chains, including Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, KFC, and Burger King, have pulled onions from some of their menu items as well.
That's Fox's Jack Callahan. America's listening to Fox News.
51 degrees, gray skies and light rain showers crossing the area. Much needed rain at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A Chicago rapper, Lil Durk, has been arrested by U.S. Marshals in Florida. It happened Thursday night. According to jail records, the 32-year-old artist, whose birth name is Dirk Banks, was booked into the Broward County Jail pending charges of murder for hire. Also on Thursday, 5 members of Banks' hip-hop crew were indicted on federal charges in a plot to kill another artist. Mayor Brandon Johnson's new handpicked members of the Chicago Board of Education all are in place. All 7 were officially sworn in yesterday. The new school board did not address the future of CPS CEO Pedro Martinez. A jury convicts a man of killing an incoming Northwestern grad student in 2018 on Chicago's North Side. Deontay Speed was found guilty of first-degree murder in the shooting death of Shane Colombo. Speed will be sentenced in December. A $2 million settlement has been reached in a lawsuit that accuses a former CPS gym teacher of sexually assaulting young students.
This settlement is not a victory to be celebrated. For our clients, it marks a significant and positive milestone in a long and painful journey towards healing and recovery.
The suit claims instructor Andre Castro groomed and then sexually abused 3 boys who attended the city's Lorca Elementary School starting in 2017. The news service of Team Hochberg. They've helped thousands of AM 560 listeners with the best rates and service. Visit 56david.com, 855-563-2843, lower.com equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061. 804. Time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Colgate-Palmolive shares are higher. Its earnings top forecasts. It was able to raise prices and still sell more of its products. Colgate-Palmolive makes Tom's of Maine, Irish Spring, Ajax, and soft soap. Hoka shoes are hot. Sales were up 35% in the summer quarter from a year ago, boosting the profit of Deckers Outdoor. Its UGG brand boots also continue to sell, especially among teens. Deckers quarter top forecasts and its raised estimates for the year. Affordable luxury brands Tapestry and Capri plan to appeal a federal judge's decision that blocked their merger. The Federal Trade Commission said the deal would raise prices for purses and other products. Tapestry makes Kate Spade and Coach. Capri is parent company of Michael Kors and Jimmy Choo. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jen Cosola. Invested in you.
The lineup for Freedom Summit Chicago 2024 just got bigger with the addition of Dinesh D'Souza. He joins Dr. Sebastian Gorka and economist Steve Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, Jeannie Ives, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Overhead Door, healthinsurancementors.com, and by Trinity School of Natural Health.
$20 million. No, it's not the national debt. It's the buying spree that Fox Valley Coins is on from now until Thanksgiving. It's really the perfect storm. Gold and silver are at historic levels. Fox Valley Coins has a huge order to fill with one of their national clients. And September through Thanksgiving is always when coin dealers stock up for Christmas sales. They are especially looking for the old collector coins like silver dollars, all 1700s through early 1900s coins. All kinds of gold from broken jewelry to gold bars to old coins. U.S. and foreign. All kinds of silver, from sterling silverware to old coins and bars to Franklin Mint items. They can pay cash or check, and we make house calls on larger deals prior to Thanksgiving. Fox Valley Coins, one light north of I-88 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. They'll make free, no obligation offers. Make that 20,000,001 reasons to go to Fox Valley Coins now. They give free in-store offers on your items.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
61 years old. I'm doing my first bodybuilding show. I'm going to go straight to a national event. Well, I was a power lifter all my life, and I'm just lucky a year ago, met Mr. Michigan and Mr. Olympia, and they asked me what I was doing, and next thing you know, I'm 4 weeks away from my first on-stage show. I've been taking the Balance of Nature for a long time. It's been incredible.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code
Chicago.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Family, country, community. Ed Soliday has spent his life in service to others. A graduate of Valparaiso High School, Ed Soliday went on to attend Indiana University and served our country in the Army, where he earned the Distinguished Flying Cross, 2 Bronze Stars, and a Purple Heart. After his military service, Ed Soliday built a successful career as a pilot and flight safety expert, leading crisis management at United Airlines on 9/11. Now, Ed Soliday is serving us at the Indiana State House, where he puts people ahead of partisanship. Representative Ed Soliday is a respected voice working to protect taxpayers, secure our energy grid, and attract better-paying jobs to the region. Ed is endorsed by the Indiana Fraternal Order of Police, the Indiana State Police Alliance, and the Indiana Professional Firefighters PAC. Representative Ed Soliday. Common sense leadership for Northwest Indiana. Vote Ed Soliday for state representative on or before Tuesday, November 5th.
Paid for by friends of Ed Soliday Committee.
It's 8:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. We'll start on the Dan Ryan. Earlier accident has things jammed up inbound between 51st and the Stevenson, and your express lanes are also slow as you roll inbound between right near 51st. Outbounders, you're slow from the Circle down to Roosevelt. Your inbound commute time 37 from 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Delays on I-80 eastbound between Harlem Avenue and I-57. Gurney, an accident. Milwaukee and Washington. Carroll Stream, an accident. St. Charles and President. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
A shower in spots early this morning, otherwise clouds will give way to some sunshine. A high today at 64, clearing tonight, low 43. A sunny day tomorrow and also Sunday, high tomorrow 58, Sunday's high 62. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Light rain and 51 right now. Next news at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Wealth Health Radio with Joe Murphy, Sundays, noon to 1. Learn more online at mwmfinancial.tax.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Well, we were supposed to have Jim Shorts on the show, but he's not picking up, so I know a lot of people were looking forward to Kevin Matthews. Well,
we'll have him back, though.
Well, he's not here.
I know, but I'm saying
nothing to have him back.
Well, we've had him on before when his first book did come out, and it's such a success that it's going to be made into a documentary that they're working on right now. And his new book, Mary's Roadie, I know that he voiced it for Books on Tape earlier this week, but he's doing good work. He's found God again, and
well, good. Well, he should show up for his appointments then too, if he's doing good work. All right. Instead of that, we're going to do RFK Jr.'s closing argument because it's an interesting one, really interesting, actually. Again, going back to Bill Ackman and this team, he mentioned team approach, the team Trump versus team Kamala in terms of his analysis of the race. He mentioned RFK Jr., and I don't agree with RFK Jr. in a bunch of things. I've said so I've said so many times, including with people. Well, RFK Jr. is Trump's vice president. No, ridiculous idea. Not until RFK Jr. stops being an eco-hysteric, among some other things. But that doesn't mean that he is without merit. That doesn't mean there are not things that he says that are worthy of consideration, that he doesn't have good insights in other areas. So it's a very interesting argument he makes and a very stark choice he presents. I mean, it doesn't get more stark than this.
If you want to avoid nuclear war, I strongly urge you to vote for Donald Trump. In fact, I would go so far as to say that a vote for Kamala Harris is a vote for nuclear war. Here are some of my reasons.
Well, hello.
A vote for Kamala Harris is a vote for who's for nuclear war? Okay, well, you're Kamala voters. Everybody else who's against nuclear war, you better vote for Trump. I'm going to let him go into his evidentiary support for that claim because it's actually quite interesting, the historical perspective. But you just had to freeze it because, I mean, the idea that if you're for nuclear war, then or if you're for Kamala Harris, then you're for nuclear war. That's a pretty stark statement. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. So he'll repeat that stark statement to help let it sink in. And then he's got three pretty powerful examples of what he means or why he believes this.
If you want to avoid nuclear war, I strongly urge you to vote for Donald Trump. In fact, I would go so far as to say that a vote for Kamala Harris is a vote for nuclear war. Here are some of my reasons for saying that. Former Vice President Dick Cheney endorsed Kamala, and she said she was honored to have his approval. Dick Cheney was the driving force behind a group called the Neocons, which started the Iraq War, in which the U.S. launched an unprovoked preemptive attack, the first in its history, in order to prevent Saddam Hussein from threatening the world with weapons of mass destruction. As history now shows, there were no weapons of mass destruction. It was all a neocon lie. Most estimates are that over 1 million Iraqis died, while the USA and allied forces suffered over 4,800 deaths and over 32,000 wounded. We killed more Iraqis than Saddam Hussein ever did. This fraction of our military and intelligence establishment that we call the neocons, led by Dick Cheney, faked the evidence of weapons of mass destruction because they wanted a war. In 1961, President Eisenhower warned the American people of the dangers of the emerging military-industrial complex that would try to embroil us in a nuclear war with Russia. He pointed out that these warmongering elements in the Pentagon and intelligence apparatus relished war and reveled in it, including nuclear war. My uncle, President John F. Kennedy, confronted his own Joint Chiefs of Staff and his intelligence officials who proposed to fake the shooting down of an American civilian airliner and blame it on Cuba in order to justify a nuclear war with Russia. John Kennedy stood up to them and refused to go along. President Kennedy was shocked by another military proposal to launch a surprise nuclear attack on the Soviet Union. The uniform meant that the USA would win because the Soviets would suffer over 130 million deaths, while in America, only 30 million would die. After John Kennedy's assassination, the Gulf of Tonkin incident was used to justify war on Vietnam. It wasn't until almost 40 years later that it was shown conclusively to be untrue. The North Vietnamese did not attack our warships on August 4th, 1964. Intelligence about the Gulf of Tonkin incident was faked because a fraction of our military-industrial establishment wanted that war. I'm concerned that today, not only do we have a faction of our military and intelligence establishments that desire war, they want a war right now with Russia over Ukraine. Russia is the largest nuclear power on Earth. It has over 1,000 more nuclear weapons than we do, and many of them are better than our best weapons. President Biden came within an inch of giving authorization to the Ukrainians to use American-guided missiles to fire deep into Russian territory. The Russians, in response, changed their law to allow them to respond with a nuclear attack, and the world was never closer to full-scale nuclear war. Can you imagine if the Mexican army was being backed by the Russians to launch Russian-guided missiles into American territory, hitting cities, hydroelectric dams, and nuclear power plants? Would the USA attack Russia in retaliation? It would be a miracle if we didn't. Kamala Harris is inexperienced in foreign policy, and her belligerent and hostile remarks about Russia during her acceptance speech at the Democratic Convention were extremely alarming. Those words demonstrated that she would be a perfect pushover, a puppet for the military intelligence faction that wants this war. We don't need a president who is so weak that she needs to prove her strength to the American people by sacrificing the life of American military personnel in foreign engagements abroad. Donald Trump has repeatedly said that he would negotiate with Putin to end the Ukraine war. If JFK were alive today, he would be standing side by side with President Trump on this issue. My uncle said the most important thing that we can do is to talk to our adversaries. That's why he installed a hotline in the White House and in his home at Hyannisport so he could communicate directly with Khrushchev. A vote today for Kamala Harris is a vote for Dick Cheney. who lied to get a war started in which more than 1 million people died. Nuclear war today would mean billions of people dead. A recent study predicts that World War III will last only 73 minutes, and that in that time, 5.8 billion human beings will die. And as JFK said, those who survive a nuclear war will envy the dead. If what I've said here makes sense to you, I urge you to contribute to help me get this message to millions more of our fellow citizens. The election is right around the corner, and the danger is very...
Is what he said make sense to you? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. He's right about the plans presented to JFK for a preemptive strike against the Soviets. That happened in 1961. He is right about the Gulf of Tonkin, although it wasn't faulty intel. I mean, it was faulty intel to an extent, but it was really Robert McNamara, the Secretary of Defense, who hid the full picture of the story from LBJ. And so he didn't have an accurate account of what happened, that the North Vietnamese did not attack our ships. That didn't get passed on to LBJ because I guess McNamara was one of those that RFK Jr. mentioned, spoiling for war. So, I mean, he has some points there. There's no question. And he certainly has some points with respect to Kamala Harris's, well, I mean, as Mel Gibson so eloquently said, the IQ of a fence post. She is not equipped. And it's dangerous to have somebody who is not equipped to contemplate the chess game that is international relations, and who feels like she needs to project strength by he said the bellicose talk, perhaps even bellicose action, to show that she's as tough as any guy or as tough as anybody in D.C. at this point.
To show strength, you have to be smart or have some level of intelligence, and she's not there. I mean, think she has $1.6 billion on her campaign coffers right now, and she can't hire somebody to get her to stay on point, to have a message when somebody asks you a basic question like, "What mistakes have you made, and what have you learned from your mistakes?" Or what's your economic policy? What's your stance on the border? I mean, she's just a hot mess. And I said this the other day. She's self-imploding. And if she becomes president, Putin will start laughing. Our enemies around the world are going to laugh because she does not project strength, because she's stupid.
Well, Red Diaper David Axelrod on the CNN panel, post the CNN town hall, even he had to concede the obvious.
The things that would concern me is when she doesn't want to answer a question, her habit is to kind of go to word salad city, and she did that on a couple of answers. One was on Israel. Anderson asked a direct question, would you be stronger on Israel than Trump? And there was a 7-minute answer, but none of it related to the question he was asking. And so, on certain questions like that, on immigration, I thought she missed an opportunity because she would acknowledge no concerns about any of the administration's policies. And that's a mistake. Sometimes you have to concede things, and she didn't concede much. But I'll tell you something. John King mentioned Bill Clinton. No one's going to be Bill Clinton, but you do want to relate to the people in front of you. She didn't do a lot of that. She didn't ask them questions. She didn't address them particularly. So she was giving set pieces too much.
That's your girl. That's who you move Biden aside for. As I said, this is going to be perhaps a bitterly ironic twist when you move Biden aside because you're not only worried about losing the presidency, but taking a hammering in the House and the Senate. And that's exactly what happens anyway, perhaps even more pronounced than had Biden been the nominee. We'll see. Trump was asked about that very comment that Axelrod just pointed out, that she refused to concede anything with respect to the border policies, that the border czarina, and Biden pursued.
She said during that town hall she believes they've handled the border correctly. CNN pressed her on it. Would you have done anything different? Do you regret anything? And she said, quote, I think we did the right thing.
Wait a minute, that she's handled it correctly?
Correct.
She said that?
She said that. She said, quote, I think we did the right thing.
We allowed 21 million people in. We allowed 13,099 murderers. We allowed mental institutions from all over the world. If she said that, look, she's a grossly incompetent person. And if she said that, they had the worst border in history.
92% of Kamala's staff quit, Dan and Amy. Was she a good leader? That shows a lack of leadership. Another text message. Well, there were no new wars when Trump was in office. That's true.
Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Have you heard about this guy, Donald Rainwater?
I sure have. Guy was a deadbeat dad. Total loser. Not only did Rainwater repeatedly fail to pay his child support, he filed for bankruptcy and had his car repossessed. But what did a court find he spent the money on? Cigarettes.
Hasn't he run for office twice before and lost each time?
Sure has. Maybe that's why he wants the job, so taxpayers pay off all his debts.
But there's someone even worse than Rainwater. This Jennifer McCormick character is a really out there liberal.
Yeah, she's a pro-Biden and pro-Kamala liberal. She opposed school choice, she supports boys in the girls' locker room, and did you hear what she said about Hillary Clinton?
Did you vote for Hillary Clinton?
She had some great, world foreign experience. So I did vote for Hillary Clinton.
Jennifer McCormick, she's hopelessly liberal.
I'm not voting for Rainwater or McCormick. They're both losers in my book.
Paid for by Indiana Republican State Committee, Inc.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
61 years old. I'm doing my first bodybuilding show. I'm going to go straight to a national event. Well, I was a power lifter all my life, and I just lucky a year ago met Mr. Michigan and Mr. Olympia, and they asked me what I was doing, and next thing you know, I'm 4 weeks away from my first on-stage show. I've been taking the Balance of Nature for a long time. It's been incredible.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code Chicago.
In the explosive film, Government Gangsters, former Deputy Director of National Intelligence Kash Patel exposes the deep state's plot against Trump.
Career bureaucrats are installed into every agency and department in the United States government. These people are dangerous and vindictive, perfecting ways to hide their corruption.
It is finally time for a straightforward assessment of the state of our nation.
Government Gangsters. Watch it now on salemnow.com. salemnow.com.
The socialists who want to move into the White House have a lot of plans for your money. One of them is to control the price of food, and this is just the start. Could 401ks and IRAs be next on their agenda? It might sound far-fetched, but so did price fixing just months ago. Hi, Donald Trump Jr. here. If you've spent decades building your nest egg, you can act now to stop your savings from falling into the hands of the socialists. It's why Americans are turning to gold, the ultimate safe haven in uncertain times. To see how easy it is to diversify your retirement with gold, get a free info kit from my friends at Birch Gold by texting the word PROTECT to 989898. Birch Gold makes it easy to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold while preserving your tax advantage status. Don't wait any longer. Protect your financial future now. Text PROTECT to the number 989898 for your free info kit from Birch Gold, the only gold company I trust.
Paid for by Birch Gold Group.
AM 560. The Answer.
Open mic! Open mic Friday! Call in now! Open mic Friday!
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. It's that time of the week, Open Mic Friday. Take your calls, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line with comments, concerns, compliments, criticisms, general crack pottery. We'll take it all. And we begin, as we do, with turnkey.pro founder David Kolsak.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. How are you guys?
Good.
So did you see the incident at some makeshift shooting range in Missouri where a bullet fragment hit a TV reporter while covering a Senate campaign event. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah, we talked about it.
If you haven't, look
Coons and
it
Kinzinger.
up on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. The event was for that guy named Lucas Coons, and they set up what would look to be tin cans on a makeshift construction horses. They were like 20 feet away, and I'm not a gun expert, but it was a classic you'll shoot your eye out moment for me. Remember when Ralphie in Christmas Story was like backyard shooting and the BB gun, and he basically shoots the BB gun at the sign and it ricochets and hits him. You know, these guys in this situation, one of them being Adam Kinzinger, great, looks to be using an AR-15, which is just slightly higher caliber than a BB gun at close range. So again, no one with range experience would think that was a good idea. Of course, there were going to be ricochets. So the left can't meme, and they certainly can't shoot. Just look at Tim Walz loading a gun. It's all such theater trying to make beta males look alpha, and it's not working.
He was loading a tampon.
Okay.
Tampon
yeah,
to
exactly,
him.
right? What's interesting is that your former the segment right before me, you started talking about RFK Jr. and interestingly enough, that was what I wanted to talk about. Not so recently, he said something about Ukraine, and it really made it crystal clear for me. So I want to just kind of say what he said, and this is what he said about the war in Ukraine. He said, the war in Ukraine is a war that should have never happened. It's a war that the Russians repeatedly tried to settle on terms that were beneficial to Ukraine and the U.S. The major thing they wanted was for us to keep NATO out of the Ukraine. The big military contractors want to add new countries to NATO all the time. So why is that? It's because a country admitted to NATO will then have to conform all of its military purchases to NATO weapon specifications, which means certain companies like Northrop Grumman, Boeing, Raytheon, General Dynamics, and Lockheed Martin get a trapped market. In March of 2022, we committed $113 billion to Ukraine. Just to give you an example, we could have built a home for almost every homeless person in this country for that amount of money. We then committed another $24 billion and then another $60 billion. But the big, huge expenses are going to come after the war when we have to rebuild all the things that we've destroyed. Mitch McConnell was asked, can we really afford to send $113 billion to Ukraine? And he said, don't worry, it's not really going to Ukraine. It's going to American defense manufacturers. So he just admitted it's a money laundering scheme. And who do you think owns every one of those companies? BlackRock. So Tim Scott, during one of the Republican debates, said, don't worry, it's not a gift to Ukraine. It's a loan. So raise your hand if you think that loan is ever going to get paid back. Of course it's not. So why do they call it a loan? Because if they call it a loan, they can impose loan conditions. And what are those conditions? Number one, an extreme austerity program. So if you're poor in Ukraine, you're going to be poor forever. And number two, and most importantly, Ukraine has to put all of its government-owned assets up for sale to multinational corporations, including all of its agricultural land. The biggest single asset in Europe is in Ukraine. There's been 1,000 years of wars fought over that land. It's the richest farmland in the world. It's the breadbasket of Europe. 500,000 kids, almost Ukrainian kids, have died to keep that land as part of Ukraine. So they most certainly did not know about this loan condition. They've already sold 30% of it. The buyers were DuPont, Cargill, and Monsanto. Who do you think owns all of those companies? Yeah, it's BlackRock again. And then President Biden gave out a contract to rebuild Ukraine, and who do you think got the contract? BlackRock. So they're all doing this right in front of us. They don't even care that we know anymore because they know they can get away with it. And how do we know that they know that? Because they have a strategy, and it's an old strategy, which is keep us at war with each other, keep us hating on each other. They keep the Republicans and Democrats fighting each other, black against white, and all these divisions that they sow. So the line that he says, they're doing this right in front of us, they don't even care that we know anymore, that's the major point and deserves, I think, full attention. He's right, from open borders to the elimination of criminal justice, hotels filled with migrants, freebies for this group or that group, $750 for people who are devastated in North Carolina, and on and on. They're conducting their revolutionary insurrection right before your very eyes and daring anyone with even a passing interest in stopping them to give it a go. So, but you know what? Since RFK and Tulsi Gabbard and Musk joined forces with Trump, there's a lot of people who are seeing the division they sow, and they're coming together instead. So you see people on the street of all colors and creeds being just fed up. So what they're doing is backfiring. So keep waking each other up every day because there's a lot of good people out there. We just have to continue to seek them out.
Thanks for the call, David. Appreciate it. Bob, Buffalo Grove. Hey, Bob.
And getting an educate. Yep. You there?
Yes, go.
Always good talking to you and getting an education on the issues. Last week I saw the new movie, Vindicating Trump by Dinesh D'Souza, and I'm looking forward to seeing him at Freedom Summit. I suspect he'll discuss the movie at Freedom Summit. But let me offer this for now. At the end of the movie, D'Souza discussed the mechanism as to how voting could be corrupted in the 2024 election. The copying of blank ballots, gaining access to voter rolls, and then casting the ballots. So again, I'm wondering if he'll discuss this at Freedom Summit, and hopefully, of course, I'll be seeing you guys and some of your listeners.
Thanks for the call, Bob. David Winnetka.
Hey, good morning, Dad. Good morning, Amy. So this past last Sunday, we were all hanging out at this place we go and watch a band on Sunday night in Rogers Park, and all of a sudden, 15 or 16 shots start ringing out from a drive-by. We all go scurrying like mice, and then eventually I walk around the corner after about a minute, and there's the Steve Spot alive. I was actually interviewed on the news. But my point being is that, and then 2 days later, I see one on Howard Street, and it's all black-on-black crime. So my point is, I've got a bit of a bone to pick with John Anthony, even though he's not here to defend himself, and I'd much rather speak to him, live in person. But he, a couple of weeks ago, mentioned that the white man needs to start speaking out, blah, 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 blah. It's very easy for him to say that because, A, he's black. He could literally steal a car right now and probably get away with that, whereas I'm going to get arrested. So I'd like to...
the white man needs to speak out of... What? Why is it easy for him to say it? What do you mean? I don't get it. White man needs to speak out against what, and why is it easy for him to say?
So he needs to. I think he was saying that the white man needs to speak out about, literally like, hey, what's going on here? The criminal is actually not the victim. The criminal is the criminal.
Well, yeah, everybody needs to say that. Yeah, a lot of people are, but okay. So what's...
Right. But he specifically said the white person wasn't speaking out. So I'm here to set a challenge to him right now, and hopefully he'll accept it within the next couple of weeks. I'm going to get 2 sets of shirts, one for Kamala and the nut job, and the other for Trump. And on the front of it, it's going to say free hugs. And I want to go downtown with John. We're going to wear the Kamala shirts for the first 2 hours and see how everybody responds. And then we'll wear the Trump shirts for the next 2 hours after that. And
all right, let's see what
happens. Go. And we're
going to be recording it?
The free hugs experiment. Okay. All right. Very good. All right.
Don't make that hug turn into something else, if you know what I mean.
Well, my main concern about that drive-by in Rogers Park was the driver abiding the new 25-mile-an-hour speed limit.
Oh, yeah, right.
That's the key here.
I know Daniel Espada. He's all over it, man. He cares about your safety, Dan.
I know the vote has been delayed, but can I just again? Why don't we just make it 5 miles an hour?
I know.
You want to eliminate traffic accidents and fatalities, right? Make it 5 miles an hour. So that's one point. And
what about snitching on the bike lanes, people? If you park your car in a bike lane, I'm going to snitch.
Yeah, if I could just stay on the speed limit for a second.
Okay.
The other, I just wish somebody would ask. So from 30 to 25. How do you know 25 makes things safer than 30? Just because it's slower? How do you know it's 25, even if that's true? How do you know it's not 24 or 22?
I like that.
Or maybe it's 27. Maybe there's a sweet spot there.
Oh, yeah.
Where we just, you note how arbitrary and capricious the government is. Speed limits is a good example. 30, 35, 40, 45, 55, 65. I mean, it's all, that's precision. Based on the science and data? Is that what it is?
It's like COVID, 6 feet apart. Well, why not 7? I mean, why not 5.5?
They've modeled this all, have they? They've done rigorous experiments that produce repeatable results. We just accept all this silliness from politicians like Daniel Espada, and that's what it is. And it's a money grab, of course, because of the speed cameras.
And there's crosswalks now popping up everywhere. I thought that's why we have intersections. Just don't be lazy. Walk down a fourth block to the main main light, and then cross the street. But no.
Now we got like we're refereeing a battle. John Anthony is calling in to respond from David from Winnetka, I presume. John.
That is correct. What's up, Dan? Amy.
What's up?
I heard my name.
Why are you sweating the white man?
Well, he kind of took my words out of context. What I said was, white men need to stop being cowards and being able and freely speak how they feel about any issue. Because I think, and Dan, you talk about it, because these awfuls have their you-know-what in a vice grip, and so they're afraid to speak out, and that's what I was talking about.
Yeah. I
what
get it.
he said, he can commit a crime. Well, I can't. I'm blackish. I'm not all the way black. So,
Right. You should be in line for a sitcom then.
Right,
Blackish.
exactly.
Yeah.
There is a sitcom, right?
I know. That's what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
All
But
right.
That's what I was saying.
Okay.
And
fair
you
enough.
can listen to John Anthony Black and White Radio on Saturdays from 4 to 7.
Tomorrow.
Wait. So are you? What about the other part? Are you gonna don one of those free hugs T-shirts, supporting Kamala and supporting Trump, and go downtown with John Anthony and pursue that social experiment?
Yeah. No. Sorry, Reed, I'm gonna have to decline that invitation. I live out in the suburbs now, where it's a little bit more safer, and I don't want to have to hurt anybody if I go into Chicago.
There you go. Thanks for the call, John.
Yeah, I don't think that would end well if they did that experiment there.
Especially if they did like in Lakeview.
Oh boy, that would
all
be...
those Raffles up there, your neighbors.
What did you call them?
Raffles.
Oh, Raffles.
Rich, angry, white female leftists. Raffles.
Yeah, they're fixing for. They won't even look at me now. They're scared. I can tell. Like I can feel it in the hood.
In this potpourri segment here, we should mention just a quick mention of early voting, because in the battleground states, it's tracking quite well, and there's some sort of bellwether counties that are very interesting too. Here's Congressman Dan Bishop from North Carolina. He's running for Attorney General there on early voting in North Carolina, despite the devastation of Hurricane Helene.
Instead of running for re-election to Congress, I'm running for Attorney General of North Carolina. So I've got very close eyes on how things are rolling out in North Carolina. We commenced early voting last Thursday, the 17th of October, and through 6 days, it is a stunning set of developments. You've heard that Republicans are turning out, so Republican voters are turning out strongly in all the swing states. North Carolina, of course, is considered a swing state, although I think Trump's doing better here even than in others. But look, this is the key stat right now. Through day 6, Democrats' early vote, including both mail-in ballots and in-person early voting, is off 365,292 votes. Now, GOP in total, and when you include mail-in ballots, is also down just 22,000. But on the whole, we are repeating because that 2020, the turnout, when you consider both mail-in and whatever you might say about that, and in-person early voting was a blowout. Well, Republicans are repeating that phenomenon, just slightly down in total, but on the in-person early voting, Republicans are up about 75,000. The message through the base this year, particularly in North Carolina, but I'm sure everywhere, has been vote down the ballot. President Trump needs allies, but also go early and vote. The Republicans, the posse, and others have gotten the word, and it is rolling out. I've never seen anything like this, the development of Republicans showing up early to vote and banking those votes and fighting the Democrats in the system that exists.
So it seems to be happening pretty much everywhere. I mean, Nevada, sort of unprecedented GOP early voting, running neck and neck, a little bit ahead of the Dems in Nevada, which I think is quite anomalous. Miami-Dade County. Hillary Clinton won Miami-Dade by 31 points. Right now, the early voting Republican-Dem is basically dead even.
Good.
So, there's a lot of encouraging signs out there. It doesn't, tell the whole story, but it's just sort of tea leaf reading along with the polling. It does. They do seem to be reinforcing one another.
All right, 2 things real quick. Kevin Matthews has texted me.
Okay.
Please tell everyone it was a mistake. We had a miscommunication, and he would love to come on the show.
Only if he promises to do a Bears prediction in the persona of Jim Shorts.
Oh, okay. We'll get him next week. And then also, J.D. Vance had a town hall and Trump called in. And I just love this story. Everyone should hear this story. It's real quick.
But here's the thing about President Trump that aside of you, sir, if you'll forgive me for telling this story that I think often people don't see. And of course, I got my beautiful wife here in the front row. And one of my favorite moments with President Trump is we were hosting an event for him near our home in Cincinnati a few months ago. And of course, my wife was a little bit nervous to really, talk to the president of the United States. And he asked her, what do you think about your husband being in public service? And she gives, if you know my wife, a very diplomatic answer. Sir, he really cares about the people of Ohio. He's thrilled to be able to serve them, and I'm happy to support him however I can. And President Trump chuckles and goes, yeah, my wife hates it too. and the thing that it did is it just immediately broke the barrier. And it wasn't the former president. It was just a person talking to my wife. And I think you guys were able to have a nice conversation. But that ability to relate to anybody in any environment, I think that's the true brilliance of Donald J. Trump.
Okay, enough with the apple polishing already. Good grief. Ugh.
Is this just maybe a girl thing? I just love it.
Jordan in Antioch.
Good morning. Yeah, I'm one of those early voters. 52. I've been voting since I was 18. I voted early the first time ever this year, so I think there's a lot to that. I'd like to comment on the RFK segment there. He has a lot of good points, and I think he's spot on a lot of those areas. And Donald Trump, we need him in that role because while, yeah, he negotiates and he's a diplomat in that sense, he also goes at that from the FAFO posture, F around and find out. And that lends a lot, I think, his success with world leaders. But to a larger point, I know what they're, your RFK left out which everything that he pointed out was important, but, there's a whole mutual destruction thing, right? And I think that weighs on mine. So while I do fear, I don't know if I fear it. I know it's a concern, but what I do fear is with the administration that we just had or have, and hopefully they're gone in November, how many of those weapons or smaller weapons are close to us or within our boundaries that we don't know about, that we're allowed in because of our migration policies, because of our customs policies, and that through this administration. How many weapons do we have, RFK said it, in Mexico or Canada? How many do we have that are within launch distance that we can't respond to? How many things are here that are within, attack distance or detonation that we can't respond to? And I think it's important to understand that I truly believe that Donald Trump is aware of this, and so are the people that are under him that he's placing in office or wants to bring with him. And I think, God forbid that he doesn't get in, but I think that's a big part of it, is putting in the people in the roles that are going to weed these things out and go after them quietly while Trump negotiates and is a diplomat and rules from that FAFO posture. I just think people need to be aware of that. I know it's conspiracy. There's nothing there, but there's got to be something there. I just can't believe there's not, with 21 million people that have been allowed to walk across this thing, and we know that there's.
Well, yeah, and the number of people that we know are on the terrorist watch list. Yeah, thanks for the call, Jordan. I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, it's not a conspiracy theory. This is something that Christopher Wray at the FBI has been saying. I mean, we've been fortunate so far, even though obviously a lot of families have not been so fortunate with the lawlessness at the border, with the invitation the world over. Chris in Hartsdale, Indiana.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Well, first of all, I could probably talk to you another time about how speed limits are picked, being I'm in the engineering field. But I wanted to talk about this Metra and CTA merger thing that the state government's talking about. Oh boy. If you guys have heard about that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What could go wrong?
We make it bigger.
Well, I mean,
better.
Yeah. Well, they say it might save administrative costs, which is probably true, but I think it's more about using the other 5 counties that fund Metra to fund CTA. But I don't really care about that, being that I moved out of the St. Charles area to Indiana.
That is exactly what it's about, though.
Yep, bingo. You nailed it.
But this is more about certain nonprofits that have turned up, namely this Illinois Clean Jobs Coalition. They ran some kind of poll on it, and who knows what kind of questions they asked, but the average person doesn't know how this all works. But this is classic leftist corporate NGO crap. They get these NGOs, they do these polls, they ask loaded questions, they get some so-called fellowship professors to validate them. I think this kind of thing really needs to be hammered on, especially in state politics.
Good points. Thanks for the call, Chris. Good points. Joe in Arlington Heights, the poet laureate of Chicago's Morning Answer. Joe in Arlington Heights.
Good morning. Earlier in the show, you were talking about the trans kids, and it just broke my heart. And I really appreciate how impassioned you both are in having concerns about such tragedy, or worse, criminality is probably a better description. And anyway, the thought just jumped in my mind: we don't love children anymore. So this poem is named "We Don't Love Children Anymore." A beautiful gift from God they are, made in His image, not ours. Precious from the Marriage Act, with a traditional family intact. For centuries untold, simply family life did unfold, but much has recently changed. As God's plan, we now rearrange. New life must fit our plan, as a man says he married a man, and women reject the life embrace to gaze on another woman's face. More deadly than these queer acts, murder in the womb, a ubiquitous fact, perverting man's conscience worldwide, each year allowing millions to die. As if this butchering wasn't enough, blindly we embark on crazier stuff, mutilating confused children at the drop of a dime, denying, with patience, they would change their minds. Schools and doctors encourage young confusion to promote this most evil illusion. Now I'm God, so many blindly pretend, but our destruction is the inevitable end. It's God's gift of life we no longer adore. No, we don't love children anymore.
Very good, as always, Joe. Wow. Thank you so much. That's why he's Chicago's Morning Answer Poet Laureate. Very good. I'll post that too, so people can enjoy it online and share it. Now for something completely different. The Prime Minister, Ogden Dunes, Indiana.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Thank you, too. Look, if John Anthony is only blackish, that makes me Irish-ish. But hang on, I'm getting in a message. Hang on.
We have performance now.
Oh, my gosh.
Good morning, Prime Minister. A critical election now takes place in America. The photoshopped burger flipper you're looking at is a telegenic agent of ours, Kamala Harris, a gifted intellectual about to become the world's most powerful leader ever foisted on what was once the free world. We ensured Harris's succeeding in a historic bloodless coup against the sitting president, nearly 82, non-compos mentis, and likely bloodless. Taking his place in the upcoming election, Harris has had difficulty mobilizing her base while simultaneously trying to distance herself from the elected president's failed policies, from his ineffective leadership, and from that sour, moist stench leaking from his Huggies. Her challenger is Donald Trump, acknowledged leader of the country's freedom movement, so definitely not one of our people. In trying to herd the voting public opinion towards our candidate, we've mobilized coordinated media attacks and legal assaults, hoping to ruin his brand by incarcerating and bankrupting the man and placing a scorpion on his genitals. He's even been shot, but so far nothing's worked. Prime Minister, your mission, should you decide to accept it, is to get perspicacious Dan Proft's listeners to vote for Kamala Harris using any means possible, including, if necessary, hypnotizing, or brainwashing his on-air sidekick, the so-called hot steaming cup of information. As always, should you or any of your farce be caught or killed, Michelle and Barack will disavow any knowledge of your activities. Good luck, Prime Minister, and as always, without Dan Proft, this radio show would self-destruct in 5 seconds.
Okay. People love him or hate him. Our text line is blowing up. Like, we love him or this person's ridiculous.
Mission Impossible parody from the Prime Minister. Did you see how his brogue did you hear how it sort of went in and out too? Yeah.
By the way, programming note, Michelle Obama, she is going to be campaigning with Kamala Harris this weekend. Very exciting stuff. But remember when Barack berated the black dudes and like, you need to get on this and vote for her just because she's a woman. It doesn't matter. You got to vote for her because she's black. You know what he also said during that conversation? He told those guys, he said, "You're just lucky Michelle's not here." Ooh, she's going to change things.
So it's so tired with that Henny Youngman wife shtick that politicians do is so tired. He's one of the worst. Barack Obama's one of the worst at doing it, but I can't stand it.
Wife, please.
Paul, Campton Hills. Hey, Paul.
Yeah, I got Jim. This is Jim Shorts. You guys couldn't get Kevin, so I thought I'd call in, talk to you a little bit. I wanted to tell you about my new podcast. I'm trying to think of a name for the podcast. It's either going to be Jim Shorts with the shorts on backwards, Jim Shorts with just the waistband, or Jim cleans his shorts.
Pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Speaking of Jim Shorts, I just sent you a Bet Jim Shorts from Kevin that he gave me to give to you for week 8 of the Bears at Washington.
Oh, very good. Thank you so much. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, that's great, Paul.
Call back as Jim Shorts. If you come up with more bits, I mean, I don't want to step on Kevin Matthews' toes here, but that was pretty good.
And he will be on
the
next
cadence
week,
right.
for sure. Yes. Oh, yeah, he had it. Maybe it was Kevin.
Right. His pseudonym is Paul from Campton Hills. Eduardo in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, Dan and Amy, I'm going to miss the Freedom Summit because I'm working the election judge here at the county building in Tampa. So far, we had more than 1,000 people come in at that building in downtown Tampa.
So it's hopping.
We're having a good showing.
There's still lines
Very good,
outside
Eduardo.
Arlington Heights and Elk Grove.
Thanks.
Still lines of people voting, waiting in line to vote, early vote.
Robert and Lyle.
Hey, thanks for having me on, you guys. Well, Richard Nixon wins first prize. He saved more people than you believe with the 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. So
Yeah, right. Yeah, but he's responsible for all the violent deaths in Chicago. Brandon Johnson told me that.
Well, then, okay, then he gets another award.
Like he even knows who Nixon is.
I was trying to figure out what's wrong with the Democratic Party. It's called the Patty Hearst syndrome. These people become like their captives. What happens is they become mentally deranged, and they submit to the support because they were given little prizes here and there, and eventually it's just like the unions. Hey, you get something, we'll support you, but they turn a blind eye to evil. The unions become greedy, and they hold the rest of the country at bay. But then we got people like J.D. Pritzker. How do people vote this guy for a second term is unbelievable.
All about abortion.
Well, because
Yeah, right.
they stopped.
End of the matter. Just listen.
Yeah,
Our black,
okay.
according to Catholic theology, we're all brothers. We come from one stock, so that would include my black brother. How in the world the Democratic Party is responsible for slavery? I don't know if you ever touched on this. So why are they supporting these people?
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for the call, Robert. I'm not going down that road. That's do 150 years of history here. Yeah, we get it. And Stockholm syndrome is no more prevalent than in Illinois and Chicagoland. So it's the concept is not foreign. Ron, South Side.
No, we got a bigger issue. Hey, this week they proposed a new speed limit.
Yeah, 25 miles an hour.
Just got out of committee.
Yeah, but guess what I heard?
What?
They wanted to name it the Dan Proft speed reduction deal. They were concerned that you may sue because you didn't get permission. So, Dan, I highly suggest when you come here, you need to Uber, and it's always CTA. So have a good weekend, you all.
I could see Dan on the red line getting a Venture card. Huh?
That would be quite an honor,
What?
the Dan Prof speed reduction bill. Boy, I would be present for that bill signing.
Hey, speaking of you and transportation, you're on a flotilla this weekend from Naples to.
Naples.
I mean,
I don't know.
from Marco Island to.
I don't know where it's going, but
Well,
yeah.
you know what? You got to.
Trump flotillas all over Florida, I think, this weekend.
Yes, but can you please take pictures and put them on social media so I could see?
Yeah, in my
So I
Borat.
can see you having fun while I work 2 jobs, Blues.
I just want you to think of me in that Borat one-piecer.
I know. Are you gonna wear a singlet? What are you gonna wear?
Tim in Woodstock.
You blew off my question.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. Thanks. If I were advising President Trump, and maybe I'm way off on this, but I would make the last week of campaigning totally, or at least really, really emphasizing the whole trans issue, the girls in the locker room, the men competing against women. And I would kind of call it what kind of man are you to vote for a person like this? I feel like the women maybe are, I don't know what's happened to women in our country. I feel like they used to be the real protectors of their children. It was like, don't mess with a mom. But it seems like more and more, they're just all in with it.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Tim. I get it. We got to get out here, and we can't do that until we talk to Chuck from Delavan.
Hey, how you doing? Real quick, thanks for mentioning my garage band, Red Diaper David. Jan, giving a shout out to Jana from Lindenhurst. She loves me. She likes to listen to you guys all the time. She talked to my girlfriend Kathleen at the bottle shop last weekend. I went and sat for an hour on Snake Road. I saw a lot of Indians over there taking like their pre-wedding pictures. Don't come up until next weekend. It's really not ready yet. So, not American Indians either. I'm talking about Dunkin' Donut Indians. I don't know why they go.
All right.
Stop.
Thanks for the call,
Stop.
Biden. Yeah, all right, Chuck.
All right, have a great weekend. Thanks to Justin and Quinn. It is now 9 a.m. WIND Chicago.
I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Both former President Trump and Vice President